Welcome to the Open Apple Podcast, where we celebrate the Apple II. Whether you're a long-time user, a nostalgic visitor, or a newcomer to the community, join us as we share news and memories of Steve Wozniak's most famous personal computer.
I'm Mike McGinnis.
And I'm Carrington Vanston. And this is no quarter, apparently.
Yeah, it's been a while since you and I have spoken, at least like this, or I think any other way, because we stormed out and kicked each other in the face, and that was pretty much it.
Oh, is that how it went? Oh, yes. That was very adversarial. That's right.
There was lots of nasty words thrown around, and it got real bad. But how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic.
Excellent. Well, for those of you listening, this is episode 74 for September of 2017.
But it doesn't look a day over 70.
That's right. This is a weird intro, I guess, but Quinn usually handles this, and she, as I understand it, hopped in her DeLorean and hit 88 miles an hour, and she's out sabotaging secret Atari labs in the past or something.
I thought she'd have an invisible jet.
Well, maybe that's it.
Wait, does that make me co-host the Nothingth?
Sure. Yeah, that works for me.
The third? Well, I don't know what number this would be. Co-host the 3.5. Co-host the 5 1/4.
Regardless, you're stuck with one of the RCR podcast co-hosts. I'm sorry, folks. It's going to be a rough one.
I hear that a lot. Why does everybody keep saying that to me?
So how have you been, sir?
Sir. Oh, I assumed since you said sir, you weren't talking on me.
Well, yeah, it's habit,
Sir Carrington's my dad. They call me.
I see.
I've been great. I've been great. Apple II stuff, not too much of it, but, KansasFest and still on RCR and doing the nerdy things and living the life, baby.
Sure. Yeah, I hear you got a big poster.
I did get a big poster from you, you big softy. You sent me an amazing poster that arrived at KansasFest. I got a gift at KansasFest.
Woo!
Yeah, totally amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to do that to let everybody know how awesome I am. It has nothing to do with Carrington. I was on an Atari podcast recently.
Why?
Yeah, I was on Kevin Savitz's Antic. I happened to be in Portland and had put out word that I wanted to go down to their local arcade, and Kevin answered and said, "Hey, why don't you come on the podcast?" And so I let them know what a computer with slots worked like back then. And
they said, "Sprites. These are sprites. Right. Let's introduce you to sprites and more than one sound."
They informed me that apparently there are computers out there that back then that could do more than 8 colors on a screen at one time, and I called them dirty liars and stormed out.
But it's one of those things. It's like the human eye can only see 8 colors.
That's right.
Why would you need more than that?
Exactly. See, it makes sense to you.
It does make sense to me, but a lot of things make sense to me that other people just sort of slowly back away from.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We got an interview.
Oh, I thought we were done. Wait, how long is this show?
It's hours and hours. It's just endless.
I have made a terrible mistake.
And you're not going anywhere. We have an interview with Mark Lemmert of 6502 Workshop.
What, that guy?
He was on the show actually a couple of months ago talking about Nox Archaist.
Yeah, he's already been here.
Apple II game. Mm-hmm.
He's already been on the show.
He has more news for us.
What?
Yeah, it was sort of a scramble thing that I had to put together. I don't do anything on the show. It's all Quinn. And so I have to just, I don't know, pick random people out of my address book and email them.
That's how I got here.
Exactly. A bunch of news, and we'll be going through Softalk number 5 today.
Ooh.
So, let's jump into the interview.
Hi, I'm Bill Budge, and you're listening to the Open Apple Podcast.
Mark, hello. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Hi, Carrington.
Hello.
I'm doing well, thanks. And thanks for having me on the show.
Sure. And why are you on the show again? I mean, again?
Well, because we have launched a Kickstarter campaign for Nox Archaist, launched on September 16th. And so Quinn thought it would be a good idea, and I thought it would be a good idea to come on the show and talk to you guys a little bit about it.
That darn Quinn, just stirring up trouble everywhere. So what is your Kickstarter specifically about? And what are you asking for money for?
Sure. The Kickstarter is kind of a product of, or a byproduct of the feedback that we have been getting from the community pretty much since publicly announcing the project in 2016. We received numerous requests for a physical collector's edition of the game. And we were thrilled to hear that, since opening up the game box, putting a fabric map up on the wall next to the computer, flipping through a handheld manual full of cool art, that's exactly the experience from the 1980s that we'd like to relive and recapture through the Nox Archaist project. So we are raising money on Kickstarter to produce just that, a collector's edition of the game. With all of those feelies just mentioned, box, map, manual, game artifacts, and more. And it will be available on either floppy disks for real Apple II hardware, and also on a flash drive for Mac and PCs for people who are gonna play it that way. And there will be several collector's boxes to choose from, and also a old school plastic bag edition, if that sort of thing is your bag. It's definitely our bag. So our goal through all this is, we want to really just recapture the hands-on gaming experience of the 1980s that we grew up with, and for us, that's all about the feelies that really helped us get immersed in the game world.
Wait, if you're going to capture the 1980s authentic feeling, are you also going to offer just like a generic drive with a handwritten thing on it from like just a, because that was my authentic experience. So it'd just be the pre-cracked version that comes on a word processor disk with the word processor scratched out and a misspelling of your name and a like a terrible menu, because that's authentic, baby.
Yeah, I would say probably the most authentic we'll get on the Kickstarter is going to be the plastic bag edition. But interestingly, I mean, we've produced prototypes of all of these different feelies, which we have pictures up on the Kickstarter page, as well as in the video, the Kickstarter video. And in the process of producing those prototypes, we went through a variety of iterations. So Mike Reimer, my project co-founder, and I'd have drawers full of just scrap stuff from the box cover in various different stages that didn't work out, and ones that were closer to the one that did, and with the other things too. So we're keeping all that stuff, and someday we'll roll it out for a raffle or old time's sake or something. So that should be fun.
You could keep 4AM happy by releasing a poorly cracked version that takes out the splash screen or something.
Oh, well, it's funny you say that. I think 4AM and the other crackers are going to have some fun with this, because as you may know, Peter Ferry, a.k.a. Q Kumba, is one of our team members. He formally joined the team last spring, and he's working on low-level programming issues such as file I/O and also copy protection. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's going to switch sides, briefly, and apply all of his devious skills at cracking software and apply them to writing some copy protection. So we're looking forward to see how all that plays out.
I'm sure 4AM will help us by solving that problem for us, because none of us can. Although I do have a serious question about that. If it is going to be a copy protected original disc you get, does that mean for people who buy the game, they can't make like a backup for playing to protect the disc? And if so, what happens if their original disc fails? Is there like a warranty or something that's going to be offered? Oh, look at me with the serious question. Oh, out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, those are good questions. And the multi-part answer. One part of the answer is that certainly, yes, if the game disc, failed, right away or something, I mean, we'd certainly replace it. Longer term, we'll have some kind of a, vastly discounted option for just, getting additional sets of the discs. And additionally, the game is really actually going to be free download at some point. It'll be a number of months after the initial release of the game before the free download would be available, because we're of course going to focus on getting our rewards delivered to the Kickstarter backers and supporting them, and they'll be the first players of the game, but it will be available as a free download at some point, and that will not be copy protected. So essentially, the copy protection is just for fun, as you probably guessed, and as a practical matter, if somebody wants to make additional copies of the game, one way to do that is, well, just download the disk images, off of the site and, write them with ADT Pro. But for somebody that doesn't want to, deal with that and rather, just have us send them another set of disks, that's, we'll have pathways for doing that as well.
That was your one serious question, Carrington.
Actually, I have a bunch.
Well, hey, fire away.
Okay, so here's another one. Just a couple of quick ones. You got great graphics people on the team. Like the 6502 workshop team is awesome with Bill and Robert and Mike and Beth, and like just amazing. And with I think it was by Electric Moo doing the demo music, the demo video music. Electric Moo, best name ever. But speaking of music, though, I mean, I've seen all the graphics, and the graphics of the game are incredible. And I was at your Kickstarter, or so the KansasFest presentation you gave, even though it was like the first one of the day. So it was like, let's drag ourselves in for the first one. So it was an early one, but really interesting. And the graphics were amazing. And you gave that castle tour. We got to see like the drawbridge and stuff, and super awesome. But what about music? So what kind of music will be in the game? What have you kind of done with that? And will it support things like Mockingbird?
Sure. That's a great question. So firstly, if I forgot to mention, definitely want to mention it now, the KansasFest presentation, which is available online, the video version, as well as our other gameplay videos, there's going to be way more sound effects than are in there now. I think now we've just got like a sound effect for a lightning bolt and when the player bumps into a wall and a couple there's going to be more sound effects. So that's coming. As far as the music goes, I'll get back to the game specific question, but just to round out the topic, Electric Moo is making a whole variety of different musical tracks, some of which are done and have been overlaid on the gameplay videos that we have linked to our page, and more of those are coming. And those are all going to be bundled on an audio CD that will be available with the game through some of the Kickstarter tiers, and that would be intended to be essentially played on some kind of modern device, if not a CD player. Rip in the CD and play it from your iPod or iPad, wherever while playing Nox Archaist, either in an emulator or on the real Apple II, as you prefer. So that's one musical pathway that's been planned out. Now, as far as actual 8-bit in-game music goes, that really pretty much takes a car like a Mockingbird to get something substantial going there with music, and that is something that we're going to be researching as to whether we can support that. It comes down to basically speed and memory resources at this point. The game engine is mostly done. There's some fine-tuning that needs to be done. As the storyline and maps and actually game design process moves forward, that's going to drive some more tweaking of the game engine, and somewhere in the midst of all that will resolve the question of essentially, can we dedicate enough resources to support the Mockingbird without significantly disrupting things that we've already more or less put in play. And I'm not sure exactly when that will be known, but certainly I would say over the course of the next year that will get determined. So in summary, though, I mean just in full disclosure to everybody, we're not guaranteeing Mockingbird support. We'd certainly like to have it, but it's not guaranteed at this point.
I'll allow it. I don't have a Mockingbird anyway, so what do I care? I'm all about normal middle. Okay, so
I never had one in the 1980s either. My experience with the game playing, and including the 8-bit role-playing games, was never with a Mockingbird. So to me, not that it changes my desire to support the platform, because I know it's popular, but it actually feels weird to me to play like Ultima with the Mockingbird music on, because that's never how I played it,
Totally the same. Totally the same with me. As a Canadian, I have a question for you, which is, will there be options for international delivery, or is this going to be like a US only thing? Like, what about people overseas or up here in the Great White North? One of the countries not currently on fire or underwater.
Absolutely. We see ourselves as a worldwide operation, and there absolutely will be shipping options available for Canada as well as every other country on Earth. And if I recall, our shipping tiers are organized as U.S., Canada, and everywhere else.
That's how I think of the world too.
Yeah, and it's and also just how the shipping companies think of the world and the way they price things. So we reflect it accordingly.
Cool.
So have you set prices yet for the different levels that the people can contribute?
Yes. It starts at $20 for a digital copy of the game, and that, in addition to being great folks and helping out the project, it gets them access to the game sooner than the free edition that will eventually be available by download, and it goes from there to a $40 plastic bag edition. And the collector's boxes start at $130 for the Apple II, $120 for the PC Mac. Just it's a lot more expensive to do the floppy disks and the duplication, which is the kind of the differential there. And we have 4 collector's box editions in total. All of them include a game box, fabric map, and game artifact such as Crown Jewel. And as well as a printed manual, all with professional custom artwork. And the higher level collector's box tiers layer in additional feelies, such as a wax-sealed envelope with a writ from the king in it, chainmail artifact, and limited edition certificates and in-game rewards. For tiers with the in-game rewards, players will get to name an object in the game, such as a village, a mountain, a waterfall, or a weapon.
I could do some damage with that.
The intention there is to give people pretty free reign with it, as long as it's not something inappropriate or.
I'm out.
We'll open it up, but now that I hear Carrington say that, I may have to rethink the fine print on that.
Another thing I hear a lot.
Yeah. So, additionally, for the tiers with the in-game rewards, these refer to the ultimate level tiers as they're stated on the site that have the in-game rewards. The player will also appear in the Scrolls of Nobility as a Baron of the Realm, and these scrolls will be discovered by players in-game. So that's one way for folks to just write themselves right into to the game is through that ultimate level tier. And one of the other cool rewards we have lined up is a retro gaming issue of Juice.GS magazine, which will feature Nox Archaist content and as well as content on other retro games. And the issue is exclusively available through the Nox Archaist Kickstarter, so we're pretty excited about that.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm hearing all of these really great, the in-game content and being able to name things Carrington in the game and all the packages available. I'm hearing, and the wonderful feelies like the chainmail fragment. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that was at KansasFest. It was really cool.
But the one thing I'm not hearing is an option for cassette. You're talking about sending stuff on baggies, and yet there's no cassette, Mark. What's going on here?
Well, that's that is a fair point. I did not mention cassette, and that was something with the baggies, that it did come with that. I'll just be perfectly candid on that. The time when I got involved in Apple II computing, I don't remember the exact year. It was sometime in the 80s, but floppy drives were the norm at that point. I did not really have any experience in the cassette era, and as a result, it was the sort of thing from a programming standpoint where I thought, I don't know the first thing about this, and rather than start from ground zero on figuring that out, I basically just chose to spend invest the time spent in other ways. But I completely appreciate that cassettes was for many people part of that early gaming experience.
No, I want it to be done on printed nibble style pages in a type-in version.
That's right.
Can never make all of us happy.
If we got to get it down to punch cards to make everybody happy here, then
I want you to send me black and white stones that represent the bits of the game.
I want it on that flippy, bendy vinyl stuff that they made the records of, that they put like a couple of those ROM Apple II programs on.
A flexi disc, perfect.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
Yeah. So, don't have the cassette, don't have the punch card version or anything like that. But
I want the coded interpretive dance. I mean, you can't make us all happy, but I think it's amazing that you do have so many levels, that it'll be accessible to lots of different people. And the high end stuff, like that real, hands-on, tangible experience with lots of feelies, that's super cool. I mean, that's something that doesn't come out a lot. A lot of new software is made for the Apple II, but not a lot comes necessarily in physical copies and those that come in baggies and stuff like that. I love that. But I love that you've got a couple of tiers, including ones where you're going to get a canvas map. I keep wanting to say cloth map. So why'd you guys go with a canvas map instead of a cloth one?
Well, a couple reasons. One, quite candidly, is the availability of materials. I don't know how that was sourced back in the 80s to get it on cloth. We weren't finding it. And once we found the canvas option, we actually didn't look real hard, because the prototype we did in canvas, we're actually kind of liking that a bit better, because if you want to put that on the wall or something, the canvas is flexible, so you can kind of get that, folded up feel like with a cloth map. But it's, a little bit easier if you want to, just like tack it to the wall or something like that. In our thinking. So we really kind of started to feel like it was maybe a little bit better way to do it. And that was where the canvas map decision came from. And glad to hear that you like the reward tiers, the higher level reward tiers with some of the extra feelies and the in-game stuff. Actually, there's one I hadn't told you about yet. It's actually our top level rewards tier, which I believe is called Lord of the Realm, the Lord of the Realm tier, for a couple of reasons. One is because backers of that tier will get written into the Scrolls of Nobility as either the Lord of the North or the Lord of the South, one of the two, because there's only two of these tiers available. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes in these tiers as well, that has a special in-game reward of owning your own pub, and there will be many pubs in the realm, but only two of them that have a player owner, and the backer player who owns them will be acknowledged by the bartender as the owner of the pub, and will have a private dining room or party room that they will have access to, through getting a key and so forth, and. We'll see what else we can imagine, but that's the basic construct of what owning a pub will be like, and we'll see what we can do with it from there. Additionally, the top level rewards tier, this Lord of the Realm tier, has the flamethrower. For those that saw the Kickstarter, or not the Kickstarter, the KansasFest presentation video, we did an homage to Spaceballs, rolling out Nox Archaist the game box, Nox Archaist the map, culminating with Nox Archaist the flamethrower, and that model, wood model, hand painted flamethrower. That replica is there's two of them, and they will be available in that top rewards tier. Last but not least, the top rewards tier, Lord of the Realm, will have limited edition certificates number 2 and number 3. And actually, the reason it's number 2 and number 3 is an interesting story. Richard Garriott liked and retweeted one of the Nox Archaist announcements I posted on Twitter, and he said he still runs an Apple II. And I said, well, I'd be honored if he would accept box set number 1 of Nox Archaist, and he agreed. So needless to say, that made my day. And so I have to say, sorry, folks, but the king has claimed certificate number 1, but number 2 through 20 will be available on Kickstarter.
So if Richard Garriott, who we all know as Lord British, what's your title?
Well, I don't have one.
Oh, can I name you?
At some point.
Is that a tier?
Sorry,
I'll totally name. I want to name you. Is that a tier? I'll totally name you. It'll stick, dude.
Oh, yeah, that
It'll
should be a tier. I was going to say, if somebody wants to name me, that would be fine. But I felt a little awkward doing it myself because, one, I couldn't come up with anything cool, and two, they say, copying is the sincerest form of flattery or something like this. But nonetheless, I didn't want to take it too far and walk around like I'm trying to be Lord British. There's only one Lord British, so.
Although speaking of lords, though, the tiers where you can become Baron whatever, or the higher tier where you can become Lord whatever, presumably you could be Baroness or Lady. It's not going to be this is all dudes. It's a world of dudes. There are nothing but dudes.
Great question. Backers will be able to choose whether they want their title to be Baron or Baroness and Lord or Lady.
Okay, switching tracks, I have a question about the Writ from the King, which is, I think, one of the very cool things in one of the tiers, where you get that, the hand sealed in wax. And that's pretty cool. And it's similar to sort of things that would appear in, old Infocom games. That's one of the classic feelies, something sealed in wax that you'd have to open up. And it's nice because then you get, that box. And when you later, 10 years want to flip this on eBay, then you can have the open box, but still some of the feelies are sealed, and it really helps keep the collectible value. So I dig that. Sure. But the wax sealed feelies in things like old Infocom games have not survived very well in the last 30, 40 years, with the wax oozing off and things breaking, whatever. So, which just leads to the broader question, have you given any thought in selecting the materials and such of the collector's editions to long-term archiving, whether it's the kind of paper that's going to last or inks or that sort of thing? Was that at all a consideration when you created your feelies?
It definitely was a consideration, and I don't have a lot of details on that because that's actually one of the areas of the project that Mike Reimer heads up, is the actual production of the physical items. And but I know that was something that he was considering when looking at, like you said, the things like the paper and map materials and things like that. And that's interesting. You mentioned that about the wax. I didn't realize that was an issue, and I'm not. I'll see if there's anything we can do on that. Maybe some waxes are more durable than others, and if that's the case, we'll certainly go for a more durable one.
It'll help my eBay resale. Thank you.
You bet.
Now, you may have answered this earlier, and if you did, I apologize. Carrington asked a question, and so I stopped listening for about 5 minutes. But so, when is all of this going to be available and shipping to users?
Sure. The target release date for the game is the end of 2018. As we all know, when it comes to game release dates, they have a tendency to change. So I emphasize the word target date here. But everybody can be assured that we're all going to be working very hard, practically nonstop until this project is done. It has been a lifelong goal of mine to make a game like this, and it's finally coming into reality in a way that's more spectacular than I think I ever could have imagined in terms of what's been able to be possible. And this is other than my day job. This is what I do. All other hobbies have been put on hold, and every day I spend hours and hours working on this. So that is the one thing everybody can be sure of, is that level of commitment. And we're absolutely going to do our best to get it available as soon as possible, but also at the same time making sure that the quality is there and that it's not released too soon.
That's really great. So, switching gears again for briefly, this was your first KansasFest, yes? Yes, it was. And what were your impressions?
Well,
other than
I thought
Carrington.
That was I think a disclaimer that was right there on the door when I walked in.
Warning, Carrington.
Warning, beware of Carrington.
Exactly. Jason Scott and another gentleman were up there, kind of monitoring the door, and it's making sure that people saw the disclaimer about Carrington on the
You'd had
door,
your
to
shots.
initial something, to assert test that you had seen it. It was one of those deals. But other than that, I thought KansasFest was an incredibly fun and unique experience. Definitely glad I went. Wish I had gone before. Plan on attending next year. Everybody was very friendly, and it was easy to get to know people in a way that just really doesn't happen at other tech conventions. So it was really nice.
Great. Carrington, do you have any more questions for Mark?
Nope. I'm really looking forward to the game. I can't wait. And I love the fact that you're doing the feelies and stuff. The preview at K-Fest got me even more excited. It's everything I would want in a modern version of a tile-based RPG from the 80s. It's just like, what if they had never stopped developing, like AAA development had kept going on the Apple II. Like this is what a tile-based RPG would be, and that's really exciting.
And that's exactly one of the goals of the project, and one of the most exciting things to us about it is we feel like we're standing on the shoulders of giants and putting ourselves in their shoes and just imagining, well, what would they have done, like you said, Carrington, if development had continued on the platform? What if the PC Mac revolution had been 5 years later? And definitely what we're finding is there was, in the 80s, they did not, tap out the machine. There was more of the machine there to be utilized in more advanced games, and we feel very excited and very privileged to be able to go on that exploratory path.
Well, I don't have any insight or introspection like Carrington does, so I'll just say that I really want this game. Hurry up.
All right. Well, I appreciate the enthusiasm for sure, and we'll do our best on that. And I just like to kind of, I guess, say in closing here, thank you very much to the Apple II community for all of your support and encouragement and enthusiasm throughout the project. And the Kickstarter's live now. Check it out, Kickstarter.noxarchaist.com, and we humbly ask for your support. In this adventure, we're in it together. It's about all of us, and there's a number of reasons beyond just the feelies and getting access to the game first, being one of the first players. A number of reasons to support the game that the project that I'd really like to mention. One is that the more people who back the Nox Archaist campaign, the more encouragement I think it may provide to others who develop Apple II games in general, and encouragement to develop large-scale RPGs in particular. As many of us know, developing any Apple II game is a lot of work. And an 8-disc side game, what it's projected to be like Nox Archaist, is an absolutely tremendous amount of work. And I also had a great chat with Martin Hay at KansasFest, where we both expressed our hope that our projects would inspire others, because we want to see the Apple II community grow, and also because we'd like to play some Apple II RPGs that we don't know the ending to. So,
right.
Yeah.
This is a chance to give it all a big push. And then lastly, this might be the most important reason at all of why your support is so important to this project, is Unknown Realm launched a Kickstarter for the Commodore 64 in January of 2017, just earlier this year. It was an unprecedented success in the retro world, receiving over 1,000 backers. And we in the Apple II community, of course, don't want to be shown up by the Commodore 64 folks, so we got to get behind this.
All right. Well, thanks, Mark. It was nice to talk to you again, and we definitely look forward to playing the game, and we will most certainly, Quinn will most certainly have a review on an upcoming episode.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Thanks for having me on and your encouragement and support, and definitely look forward to the review.
All right.
This is an Apple II, and this is an Apple also. This Apple is the original personal computer, easy to own, easy to use, and both Apples can help you get ahead in school, but this one can help you get ahead in life. It can do forecasts, manage money, edit reports. You can use this apple thousands of ways to be more productive. Only one problem: you can't eat it. Apple, the personal computer.
All right. Once again, thank you, Mark. That was a great interview, and we'll be sure to have this episode out before next week for some reason. And
RCR is totally going to scoop you.
Shaking fist. All right. Let's do some news.
Let's do some news.
It may be old, but there's still news. Apple II news.
All right, first item up, Evan Koblentz was at KansasFest, and he wrote an article for the Tech Republic about it. Did you read this?
I did indeed. Yes. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I was at KansasFest, so, dropping some names here. I think it was a really good write-up. I love reading things about KansasFest in advance of KansasFest because it helps me get excited. And I love reading things about KansasFest after KansasFest because it helps me remember. So, because it goes by in a blur. I thought he was like it was a good summary, another taste for people who haven't gone. Anybody listening to this podcast kind of already knows about KansasFest and they should be going because it's super fun. But in Evan's article, there's a quote that I thought really resonated with me from Kate Stocknicki. Kate Scottnicki, that's how it's pronounced. It was something like, we all have our own niche nerdiness, and this is just mine. And I thought it was great because like the people that go to KansasFest share that like super nerdy, not enthusiastically non-ironic love of the Apple II, but often have the same super enthusiastic other niche nerd loves. Like she talked specifically about how she goes to other cons and anime things, stuff like that. And that's what I found at KansasFest. It's a gathering of our type of people. So, and I thought the article kind of really talks about that in a way that maybe some other articles don't. That when you go there, like everybody's super into the Apple II, but you will probably find other people who are super into that other weird niche thing that you're also into. And I have found that to be the case. So, well, not Atari, but good things. And I just love it. KansasFest is so awesome.
It is. Yeah. We had actually spoken to Evan back in 2014 on Open Apple number 36. He was on to talk about his sort of vintage love, and that's been the VCF programs. I think at the time he was talking about VCF East 9.1. But it's nice to see Evan branching out like that and showing up at other stuff, because VCF has traditionally been, at least in the past, the ones that I went to were more about DEC and mainframes and mini computers, and that's fine.
He said dismissively, "It's fine." If you like that sort of thing,
exactly. If you're into that, it's fine. No kink shaming here. Yeah, in fact, I liked what Kate said a lot. I went to a Comic-Con here in Denver a couple of years ago, and Will Wheaton was here, and he was actually speaking about nerds and the stuff that they love, and how it's not about what we love, but it's about how we love the things that we love. And once we start getting into if we start making it about the things that we love, then it becomes a whole lot easier to gatekeep and to make it about, you're not good enough to like this like I do, sort of a thing, rather than talking about, there could be football nerds, or there could be, they're car nerds, and it's not necessarily the thing that I love, but I can find connection and identify with how much they like the things that they like and how deep they're willing to dive on what they love. So.
Yeah, there's very little gatekeeping at KansasFest Society. We mock the Atari people because, Atari people, it's hard not to. But nobody really says to them, you're not a real Apple II fan. I mean, they like the Apple II too. They just have a misguided love for other things. Right. But it's all good. Like, everyone's welcome. I find it a very welcoming space. I dig it. I dig it very much.
Yep. So what was your favorite session?
Probably the keynote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know that's not really a session, but I'm actually, no, I was going to say like Antoine and Olivier's, like from Brutal Deluxe, they gave the keynote. It was really good. A lot of times I'm not into the keynote. The keynote is like the thing that disappoints me at KansasFest, to be perfectly honest. I know unpopular opinion, but I'm like, yeah, whatever. Get to the real sessions. But I really dig theirs. Actually, no, probably it's one that Kevin ran. He did this game show. It was like a Family Feud with vintage computer questions, and Ken Gagne was behind a screen, and he was like the computer. So his arm would come out with pieces of paper saying like 100 or the X for the buzz. It was so funny. So something like that, like you're just not going to experience that in a different place, right? And I was rolling with laughter. It was so good. So probably that was the most entertaining one.
That's really great. Yeah. Did you get to experience any of the K-Fest After Dark nightlife activities?
I did. This year I did like nothing for KansasFest, so I had lots of time to experience everything. I did no sessions. I didn't do Hackfest. I just took a vacation that happened to be at KansasFest, so I got lots of hanging out time. I saw most of the sessions, and
you just took and gave nothing back.
Yeah, I don't even know if there was things like Bite the Bag this year. Bite the Bag is no longer has appealed to me. It's like ridiculous. I'm like, whatever. Who can bend that way? I'm like 900 years old.
Right.
I can barely get into a chair, let alone out of one. So no. But that kind of stuff. Honestly, it's the social stuff. It's the fact that you're living there. It's all about the people. But it's like the sessions. I'm super into the sessions. Just like when I go to a fan con, I'm all about the sessions, not the celebrities. Same thing here. It's sitting down, have somebody talk high end stuff, low level things, just talking about basic graphics, whatever. Love the sessions. But yeah, the after stuff, hanging out in the lounge, going out to dinner, just all that kind of thing. Super into it. There's some people that I really love, like some of my best friends, I see once a year at KansasFest. And if other people who haven't gone, if you go to KansasFest, you will make some new best friends, or some friends, period. So for some of us, there's not a lot of chance for that. So, I dig it. I dig it so much. I love it. It's one of the highlights of my year.
They'll be your best friend whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm. I impose myself on people. I'm like a barnacle in your life. It's just like, hi, I'm your friend. You have no choice in the matter.
Yeah. So for people who didn't get to attend, who are losers like me, there are a number of KansasFest 2017 videos available now on YouTube. And there's a handy dandy playlist that you can just click the link. We'll have that in the show notes, and you can head right over there. I got to say, I really enjoy the advance of technology that allows at least that to be made available, because, for years and years, they didn't even have that. And there was, arguments about whether, if we put the videos out there, is that going to devalue, the experience of KansasFest, which of course
it's not the same at all. Watching the video just makes you want to go. You don't get the experience at all. However, I'm really happy they do it. And frankly, I wish these videos existed from like the very first KansasFest on, because it's archiving this event. It's keeping it for people 100 years from now who cannot get in their time machine and go back. Otherwise, they'd already be here. Although we did get like 100 people attending. So that was amazing. But it's more for people who cannot attend. Some people will not be able to attend because of geography, because of whatever, like social stuff. They're like, I cannot be around other people, or economics. Although those golden ticket things, I'm super keen on that. Or just time. It is 25 years later and you can't go. I cannot now go and attend KansasFest, 2001, because it's 2017 now. Too late for me. So if those videos exist, they exist for all time, and that's amazing. There is no downside at all, and I'm very happy they exist.
Now, I know that for a number of years, there was a guy who would show up. First name is Greg, can't remember his last name. I haven't been recently, so I don't know if he still goes, but he used to show up every year with a VHS camera, one of those big shoulder mount things, and he would record every single session. And I keep meaning to ask him, like, where are those tapes, and can we have them and put them online? But in the meantime, there are plenty of videos, certainly from this year, and I know last year, and going back a couple even to the year that Woz showed up in 2013. And I don't know if Syndicom still sells stuff online anymore for Apple II, but I know at one point they were selling, Woz's KeyFest from like 2003, the first time he showed up. And so there are a few things here and there that are available, but you're right, Carrington, I think there's a huge, gap there of this.
Wait, say you're right, Carrington. It gave me a little shiver. Say it again. Say it, Mike. Lean in close to the microphone and say it. Say
I won't.
Whisper
it to
me, Mike.
No.
Whisper to me.
No. Carrington, you may have been onto something when you pointed out
that I had to make it weird.
You did.
The Carrington Vanston story.
This is a big chunk of Apple II, rich chunk of Apple II history that's just maybe not as filled in as it could be. But if you want to contribute to next year's party and be a part of that history, which no doubt will be, videoed and put online. The dates for KansasFest 2018 have been announced, and that's going to happen July 17th through the 22nd. And you can show up on the 16th if you want and get your dorm room and just hang out. Registration will be opening in spring, months and months and months from now, and it feels like years. But until then, enjoy the videos.
I didn't come the day early this year, and I should have. I regretted not doing that. So next year I will be there on the Monday before the Sunday or whatever the pre-day is. I'm going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I for the first couple of years that I went, I didn't make that day either and didn't think it was a big deal until I went and had the chance to just hang out and conversate with other Apple II users, and
which, like we talked about, is a big part of KansasFest. It's just the hanging out stuff. I'm like, oh, it's really just another day of KansasFest. So why did I squander that? Like gold in my hands. So next year, definitely.
Yeah. So I think if you show up and hang out with us on the day before, it's probably going to be something you're not ever going to want to miss again.
Mm-hmm.
Carrington, how much would you pay for an Apple I computer?
$130,000.
Here we go again. Another Apple I is going up for auction. Looks like on September 12th, a couple of days from now. So like 8 months after you're actually listening to this.
But only 3 days after you heard about it on RCR. That never gets old.
I'm just cutting the hell out of that. That's all clipped out.
Another thing I hear a lot.
Never going to make it to air. This Apple I is being sold by David Larson, a former Virginia Tech professor, who he himself bought the computer from Adam Skulski in 1994 for a mere $3,500. And while the bottom has kind of fallen out, I think, of the Apple I auction craze, I don't think it's going to go for as little as $3,500.
No, and also I find the whole purchase of an Apple I at these ridiculous prices to be just crazy. Why is anybody doing that? That is just silly. You have better things to do with your life. Get an Apple II. It's a better computer and it'll cost you way less, but whatever. So this one does have a couple of things going for it. I guess every time there's an Apple I auction, this is why this one's special, but whatever. So this one's claims to fame includes a drawing by Ron Wayne, who was Apple's third co-founder, like the guy you never hear about. And right. But he wrote the Apple I manual. He designed the original Apple logo, which I don't mean the colorful logo one that we all love, but the crazy, huge, complicated black and white one with the dude under the tree. So he did that one. And colorful has a U for those listening. And,
how dare you?
But it also contains something that supposedly, I guess, according to this write-up, is rarer than the computer itself, which is the Apple I cassette interface card, which I guess they're saying most Apple I owners never purchased it. And so most of the existing ones, the ones that remain in existence, don't have that. So it comes with that. So yay, I guess, but why would you drop over $100,000 on a computer? What is your problem? You have too much money if you're doing that. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's quite excessive unless you're a museum, looking to preserve this thing and make it available for people to come and wonder at behind glass. I can't see, you have too much money. I'm kidding. But this also includes...
I'm not kidding. I'm from Canada. We're all socialists. You have too much money.
And a lot of maple syrup. It also includes a copy of the Zaltair ad, the fake ad that Woz and Randy Wigginton put together to make kind of poke fun at the Altair computer.
Cool. That's cool. And that's got to be worth $50,000 there.
Right. Well, if you showed up at KansasFest 2013, you probably remember that Randy Wigginton had a box of these things that he was handing out. So you could have gotten that for much cheaper had you gone to KansasFest in 2013. So what would you say, $50, $60 maybe?
At most. If they paid me $50, $60, I'd take it.
You're taking money to take it off their hands.
Sure. I'm a busy guy with my busy lifestyle. I'm not going to be weighed down by these Apple ones.
Busy lifestyle. So this thing's available. Will be auctioned off at CharityBuzz.com, and we'll have a link in the show notes that you can go and look at after it's been sold, because of course this won't go up until May of next year. So let's see. The rainbow Apple logo recently turned 18, retired.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous. Why is this even in the notes? But okay, let's talk about this. This is ridiculous. I'm going through these Open Apple notes, trying to keep up with all this news you talk about. It's hard for me to be on a show that we're actually trying to talk about things instead of me just making everything up. But okay, I can barely get my head around this as news. So the rainbow Apple logo, which is like the one we were just talking about, like not the original Apple logo, but the kind of the one in the middle, the rainbow.
The one that's on all the Apple II stuff.
So that one recently celebrated 18 years from no longer being from the retirement. Like what? so there's the solid logo which replaced it, and so I guess that's been around for 18 years. Who celebrates an 18-year? 2 years from now, this will be news. But the current one has been around for 20 years. What? Why is this a thing on the show?
It's Talk to Cult of Mac. They posted the article. I just put it in there to see if you were actually paying attention.
I read all your links.
Clearly you did. So happy retirement or something.
Way to go. 18 years of not using that logo. I still like that logo. That's still, I mean, for most of us, that to me is the iconic Apple logo, not the original one, that weird black and white one, and not the modern one, although it's perfectly fine. The red apple, the rainbow stripe bite out of it logo. That to me is the Apple. That'll always, it's like, you always have your favorite Doctor Who and it's your first Doctor. Same thing here. Fourth Doctor is my Doctor. Rainbow logo is my logo. Rainbow Doctor would be the ultimate Doctor. Just
I see. All right. Well, on to other news that has little to do with this podcast. PC Mag visited the Living Computers Museum. And I mentioned it mostly because we like to talk about that museum on the show, because they do have a lot of interesting Apple II and a couple of Apple I things. And the great thing about this, as opposed to some of the other museums, is everything in there works and you can touch and play with it. I think that's one of the requirements for the computers that they have on display, is that they are accessible to everyone.
I think that's why they call it a living computer museum, because everything's working and you can interact with them. That just makes me want to go to a living dinosaur museum. Why waste this on a computer museum? But whatever. And I guess the collection is founded on, or started off with the stuff from Paul Allen, who was Microsoft's co-founder, which is why a lot of it is skewed towards the things that influenced him and were big in his career, like in the pre-PC days, and then a lot of PC stuff. But yes, of course, there's also Apple I and Apple II stuff there. So yay for that.
Yep. So if you're up in that area, go. I've heard it's really great. There's a lot of interesting, fun things to see and do. Yeah, that's really all we have to say about that. What else do we have? Let's see. Oh, we've talked on the show a bunch about how we thought Elk Cloner was the first computer virus, and apparently it's not. It's the first Apple II virus, I guess. But I found this article about Creeper, it was released in like 1971.
Yeah, crazy, huh? I did not know about this.
Yeah, me either. This thing is really, 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 really old, and was obviously it's almost older than me.
Why are you singing Spice Girls songs to me?
Oh, jeez. Because I'm old. That's what I do.
Speaking of music, though, so this was created by a guy named Bob Thomas, who I'm pretty sure was the lead singer of Matchbox 20. So nobody seems to be talking about that, but that's pretty weird. I don't know. Anyway, this Creeper thing spread through ARPANET, so it shows you how old this was. And it jumped from PC to PC, like printing a file or printing a bit of a file, then moving on, and kind of being a really gentle virus. It would erase itself and move on. So it sort of showed up, did its thing, left, and there was essentially no downside to it. Right. And then after Creeper came something like a couple years later came Reaper, which I guess was like the first antivirus thing and was designed to stop Creeper. And some people think it's written by the same person, or it might have been written by somebody else. So, and then the first big virus would have been that Brain one, because that's from like 1986 or whatever, which was like a PC virus that hit, a couple tens of thousands of PCs. So I think that's the first like big one. I always thought of Elk Cloner as being the first. I think I've frequently said that was the first virus. So the Apple II has lost the claim to fame here, alas.
Boo for us.
Oh, actually, no. How could Brain was in 1986? So that can't have been the first big virus, because Windows was 1985.
There you go. That's right.
By any definition, Windows 1.0 is definitely a virus.
Microsoft is still battling that virus.
Yeah.
There is an interesting. They have a screenshot of the old, the green and white printout, because they didn't have screenshots, I guess, back then. And the only message is, "I'm the Creeper. Catch me if you can."
Totally great pickup line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use that in bars a lot. It does not work. Give a hard pass on that one.
I Yeah, shocking that people just like don't want to have anything to do with that.
I just go to the bar, I say that, and I leave the bar, and no one follows.
But I encourage you to keep using it. Let us know if it ever changes.
if it works out better for me later, that's cool. Right. Yeah. I'll keep on that.
Carrington, who is this Ken Gagne guy?
Gagne. It's pronounced Gagne. I insist.
Okay.
It's pronounced Gagne.
Gotcha.
Ken, awesome dude, friend of the show, friend of us.
Yes.
He has restarted the retro computing aggregation site, Retro Roundup, which was around for ages. And he's like taken it over and brought it back bigger and better than ever. And it's super awesome. And I'm really happy he's doing this.
Yeah, and there's little check boxes on the right that you can choose what you want to see. So if you're just interested in Apple II, that's all you got to click. And they have some other computers there. I don't know why anyone would care about that, but you can also choose the format that you want the news. So if you just want blog entries, you can pick those. There's news. There's a bunch of podcast entries, or you can switch over to games and pick that. There's not a lot there right now for those particular items, but. This thing is really well done. And I think Kevin Savitz said on that Antic podcast that he was the one that set that up and then just kind of let it languish because he realized he had too much other stuff to do. And they talked about it, Ken and Kevin, and worked it out. And Ken took over and did his magic that he does. And now it's awesome. I highly recommend checking this out. And there's even a subscribe thing. So you just hit the subscribe once and you never have to go back to the webpage.
Yep. This is the one of two things that Ken has done recently that we'll be talking about on the show. And this is the one that I like. So I want to remind Ken when he listens later and I talk about the thing I don't like that I was really positive about this one. This one's awesome. RetroRoundup.com. Super awesome. I have bookmarked it. I will frequent it. I suggest others to go. It's great. Go, Ken.
The other item, not so much. We love to talk about Apple II clones on the show, and I stumbled across another one
as one of your frequent listeners. I want to say why? What?
Because they're cool. It's fun to talk about Apple II compatible.
Oh, like anybody involved in this, including myself, even knows what cool means. Come on, you saw us both in high school.
I have my own thing that I call cool, and if it's liking clones, and that's what it is. And bleh.
Okay, you go after school special.
Well, and I actually brought this up because it's in French and you're Canadian and I can't read this page. So.
Yeah, but it's about a Chinese clone knockoff. So the Microprofessor 2, the MPF 3, Microprofessor 3, MPF 3. Let's talk about it. It sounds awesome. So what's cool of it is it contained Chinese Basic, which was like a version of AppleSoft Basic in Chinese. That's neat. How neat? Well, because of that, it didn't even have a text mode. So it's an Apple II that didn't have a text mode because you can't use the regular text hardware. So it just didn't have it at all. All the text had to be like drawn on the screen rather than generated by hardware because that's, I guess, the only way to do it cost effective. So that's neat. And like the real Apple II, it has like the two graphics pages. Cool. But the second one's in a different location. So that pretty much breaks all games. And if that didn't, the keyboard buffer is also in a different memory location. So that basically broke all the rest of the games. So it's an Apple II clone that couldn't play any existing Apple II games. Whee! How useful. Whatever. And Multitech went on to become Acer. So they used to make clones. They still make clones. What a crap company. So I'm done with you. This is my opinion. I'm on Open Apple and I'm laying down some opinions.
Wow. So, all right, folks. Well, you know where to send the hate mail.
This
right?
podcast is too gentle to things. I say we throw down.
You're hearing this, folks. I mean, just trash talking clones and people who are trying.
This is also the weirdest episode of No Quarter ever. Like, where are the arcade games?
Well, yeah, I agree with you with that one. Somehow we got way off track here. I'm talking about
way off track. I want to play Sorry Charlie. Get in the box. I want to play Sorry Charlie.
That's right. I missed that game. Other conventions. WozFest S72 has been announced.
I have opinions about this too.
Oh no!
I'm here to have.
Please don't
I don't even understand this. So there's WozFest, which is like the real WozFest is September 16th, and I guess this S7D2 is not an actual WozFest, and that's September 9th, or not. I couldn't even understand this. What is this?
This is WozFest. There's also OzKFest. And
and that's already happened.
Right, that just recently happened, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This is
so we're talking about the one in the future before the one that this show makes no sense.
Sure it does. Okay. You know it does. You love it. Stop it.
Okay, go on.
Anyway, Yes, this was WASFest S7D2 was announced, and if you look back at their archives, you can see they're having fun with the numbering scheme. The previous WASFest was WASFest Slot 6, and this is I think or was it PR number 6? I don't know. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble.
I think it was PR number 6.
Yeah, it was PR number 6. And this is why we got in trouble actually before, was because we also confused WASFest and OzKFest. They are two different things. They both happen in various areas of Australia. This one is supposed to be happening when?
September 9th and 16th.
Okay.
So it's like, 9th. But not September 9th to 16th. Like September 9th, then go away for 7 days and come back. And I think it's like the 2 Saturdays or something.
Okay, yeah, this actually is confusing because if you read down through this, it says the second one is not a WASFest. Or the first one will not even be a WASFest. So the second one is.
It's not your fault if you can't keep these straight. Everything's upside down there. Ooh.
So if you're in the area and you go to this thing, let us know because we would love to hear about it.
But we're recording this on the 10th. So the first one's already happened. The next one is in 5 days. There's no way this podcast will come out. So they've already gone.
That's true. That's right. Yeah, they both will have already happened. So just send pictures. Tony Diaz, apparently, who up until recently was a regular at KansasFest, has appeared at both of these. I think. I don't know if there are 2 or 3 now.
I think if you say his name 5 times in a mirror, he shows up and gives you Apple II hardware. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like because he comes to KFest and he goes there. He's the Michael Mulhern of these things. It's like some people that can go to both these. That's amazing to me because it's like opposite sides of the world. The fact that you can go to both, that is living the life, man.
It sure is. But yeah, he was at both of these, and the OzKFest, which has already happened and took place from August 31st to 3 September in Bribie Island. Is that how you pronounce that? Queensland, Australia. That happened.
Oh, I get it. It's like throw another 2 on the Bribie. I get it. I'd like to apologize to everybody in Australia.
So much hate mail.
I'd also like to apologize to all the New Zealanders that I often ask, are you from Australia? And
oh my God.
They like that as much as us Canadians when we get asked if we're Americans.
Man.
I'd like to apologize. I guess the default should be just always say, are you from New Zealand? Because the Australians don't get offended and the New Zealanders are just so happy.
That people know that they aren't Australians.
Yep.
Okay, so the webpage for OzKFest 2017 has not been updated yet, at least as of this recording. Of course, it will have been several months ago by the time this comes out. But they do have an active Twitter account where you can go see pictures of Tony's presentation and several of the other events that happened.
Look, it actually looks like if I was there at the time, I would totally go. It looks like a super fun event. And one of the sessions is the Liberate That 80s Air. And that really speaks to me that they have an unboxing session. And I'm super keen on that. So well done them.
That reminds me, when are we hearing more 1 megahertz, Carrington?
It comes out all the time. We just don't tell you about it.
I see.
The secret episodes that we don't tell you. Hey, we skipped over a thing on your notes.
What's that?
A2.click.
Well, that's
Ken's other thing. Oh, okay.
Well, we have 3
coming up, folks. It's coming up.
So this next item is A2.click, as Carrington just said.
Never heard of it.
And is an Apple II URL shortener?
I hate URL shorteners.
Because
it's just silly. In the presentation for this, Ken, I love you, but in the presentation for this, Ken was saying like one of the big problems with URL shorteners is like you do all this stuff and then they go away. Like you use Bitly or whatever. Like sometimes they just fold and then all of your links no longer work because you're really pointing to the shortener instead of the main thing, like in Twitter or what have you. And then all the links you posted in your blog are suddenly invalid because the shortener didn't exist anymore. So his solution is, here's a new shortener. That makes no sense. What happens when A2Click goes away? You have all the same problems. I might not also understand the technology behind this at all. It doesn't mean I can't have opinions. I am against URL shorteners at all. There's no reason to use them. No one types stuff in anymore. You just click on links. So just do the entire thing and make it be like to the canonical source, and then also make sure the canonical source is over on archive.org and maybe have a bonus link to that. There are other ways to solve this problem. URL shorteners are not the future. This is my opinion.
There you go, folks. That's really all I have to say.
If you're going to use one, I would use A2Click because it's got like the Apple II in it, and that's cool. But it makes more sense to link directly to things. Shorteners are silly. Who cares how long a link is? No, who types out? I mean, it makes sense for juice.gs because you'll be typing it out. But it makes more sense to say, go to juice.gs/ the episode number, and all the links will be there for you to click on, and then they can be just like full links. Like why use this shortener instead of just a page of the link? Or there's other ways to solve this problem, I think. I have opinions.
Clearly.
I've come and I've brought my opinions.
And now you have a podium.
I'm making Apple II friends.
All right, so moving on, just kind of edge away from that one nice and slowly.
Oh yeah, edge towards the fast chip, because let me tell you, I got opinions about this too.
Yeah, so the fast chip 2E, the much vaunted brand new Apple IIe accelerator is, or rather was, available briefly, and
it's available. It's
out.
It is. Well, this kind of thing is so in desire. Like people really want accelerators, and they are all wrong to want accelerators. It is silly to use an accelerator. What do you want an Apple II for? You want to play games. I mean, there's no reason to do anything else on Apple II other than maybe software developer. So if you are developing software and you're for some reason doing it on real hardware, stop doing that and develop it on like a modern system, because there's lots of ways to do that. And otherwise, like, who's going to do like word processing on an Apple II anymore? Like, no, the only reason you have an Apple II is to play games. Like, there is no other reason to have a computer, in my opinion. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to go out on that limb, taking a hard stand. That's why, like, Quinn's thing, where she changed the 2+ ROM so it defaults to 1 megahertz, that is a very useful and smart thing, because when you boot your computer, you want to play a game. If you use one of these fast chips and make your computer run at 60 megahertz, your games will not play. Like, it will be impossible. You might as well be using a multi-tech microprocessor 3 with its no-text mode, because your games will not work.
Nice callback, sir.
So I think, like, the fast chip, if you're going to get one of these, this seems like the coolest accelerator ever, because it's got that real-time knob where you can dial in your speed. Why? Like, again, why wouldn't it be like normal speed, fast as I can? Like, if it can go to 16.6 megahertz, who says, you know what? I think 15.3 is enough for me. What? Why would this be? Like, okay. But I like the fact that it comes with a bunch of RAM. Like, it has like 192 kilobytes of like fast RAM, or megabytes? Yeah. Must be megabytes. No, kilobytes.
No,
and then
kilobytes.
RAM factor RAM as well. So that's neat. But I don't know. I think it's better to just go get a RamWorks thing or something and get the VGA card. I think there's better solutions. It's $150 though. So there's that. And I think that's a pretty good price for an accelerator, though no one should buy it.
If it were available.
If it were, it's not available. Like all these things. Accelerators are very expensive. Everybody wants them, and I don't understand why.
So are you then also against the, original accelerators, the rocket chip and the transwarp and things like that? Okay.
Yeah, because again, like, why even have it? Like, it doesn't make sense. You're using up a slot, and it doesn't. Now, this one I think is, the fast chip is cool in that it's like really compatible with other stuff. You can have it in there and it's not going to mess up your 80 column card or whatever. So you can put, other than, didn't they say there's some weird fast chip incompatibility you just found that might not be actually an incompatibility? What was that? You have a link to that or something, right?
Yeah, there was a thread in over on Comsys Apple II, the news group, talking about some individuals who have found possibly some incompatibilities with the fast chip, but I guess there's ongoing investigation. So if you buy one of these and you have trouble, you might want to check back on that link and see what they come up with, because it's one of the great things about the Apple II is you can put almost anything in almost any slot. But, with its third-party stuff, and these companies didn't talk to each other. And so while there's no necessarily incompatibility with the Apple II itself, the devices, on the other hand, may not like each other, and they might squabble and fight over things. When you have an infinite, number of configurations available to you, you're going to run into stuff like that. And introducing new hardware, such as this accelerator, some things are not going to, to me, it would make sense that, not everything's going to work sped up that way. I
see here. It's, somebody reporting that if they have the speed set to faster than 5.5 megahertz, then they can't boot into ProDOS from the CFFA 3000. But they can start, like, say 5 megahertz and then crank the speed up all the way to 16 point whatever after it boots and it works. But then Antoine Vigneault wrote back saying it's weird because he's got that same setup and it boots with no problem. But I would think that's probably because what hardware would dare mess with Antoine? I think the hardware is like, dude, just do what you want. I'll boot whatever. Please just be nice to me. Right. So, but the rest of us, maybe it won't boot. I think that's probably a solution.
It just sort of backs away slowly.
Just back away from Antoine, man. He will mess with you. He will program all around you and change you into something else because he is awesome.
So what about the 2GS then, which, comes...
Who cares about the 2GS?
All right. Never mind then. I'll ask Quinn when she gets back. Fine. Oh, God.
I add the magic to the show.
These RCR people, I tell you, that's what you get when you ask, you get what you pay for. Okay. The 80s Apple II BBS announced that they've received 100 posts in 6 weeks. That's kind of awesome. I don't know if this is just 100 people calling in once and going, hey, I'm here, and then never calling back again, but I don't think so. What do you think?
It's 100 posts in 42 days, so that's 2 posts a day.
It's 2017, Carrington. The fact that this is getting used at all is kind of cool.
That's the thing. I actually think it's pretty awesome. I'm just in the middle of the show. I'm going to be snarky, right? So
I'm just going to cut him out of everything, folks.
I think if I had an Apple II BBS, there would be a couple of posts for me, and that's all there would be. So they're doing actually way better than I would think. My problem with BBSes, Apple II BBSes in general, is it's very difficult for like somebody like myself, like a layman. If I say, "Oh, I would like to maybe experience this," it always seems to be a little difficult. There's a barrier to entry to kind of get involved in it. Not that they're insurmountable, but it's always like telling it to a certain thing or use some sort of Wi-Fi modem or whatever. And I'm like, I don't have that. I really just want the web has made me lazy, right? Like I just want to go to a website and there is the website. Everything else just seems too hard.
You can't just download sync term and
everything's too hard.
I see. All right. Well, from this point on, ladies and gentlemen, the part of Carrington Vanston will be played by Mike McGinnis.
Interpretive dance.
That's right. We're tired of his negativity. No, so you don't care at all then that the Captain's Quarters BBS has also returned from a watery grave all these years later. Used to be a BBS AE line in northern Minnesota, and now it's back online.
Yeah, let me read you about that. So you can get there by going. You can telnet to cqbbs.ddns.net:6502. If you're not already online, you have to go get the Wi-Fi 232 internet modem for your old computer. It says when it's in stock. It currently isn't. Or you can use TCP SIR on a Raspberry Pi, but you got to get a null modem cable, or you use like a modem terminal thing. It says like sync term to seems like a lot of work. Sync term's the easiest way to go. You can just like go to like syncterm.bbsdev.net or whatever, and then you can get. So that seems like the way to go. All of it seems like work. It's too much work for me. I need just to click a link and be there.
Yeah, you do have a point. I think, it's the web and especially has made everything far too easy and us far too lazy. For modern communications. Well,
if you're going to agree to me, I'm going to take the other stance because the reality is part of the fun of the vintage computers is the fact that it's not handed to you, is the fact that you can program it. So, I can just argue either side of this, Mike.
So you're not going to, you just like convince me and now you switch sides. I hate you so much.
Basically, because part of the fun is reliving the vintage days, and the vintage days were often a little more difficult. I just think there's a bit too much barrier to entry to the BBSs in general.
Well, especially for what you're doing, which is going to post messages saying, hi, I'm here, or you're trying to duplicate what you had already posted on somebody's vBulletin, whatever.
I want to download those wares, man.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Got to get the latest version of Karateka and Choplifter up and running.
Karateka.
How dare you?
Nobody says Karateka.
Adventures in Flatland. What is this?
You would think it's a game or that book from Flatland, but no, it's an extended resident ROM monitor utility. I do not understand what those words mean. I read about it, and so it seems to be, okay, the description says it is utilities which aim to cover missing features from the resident ROM monitor. The first example provided here is to provide the disassembly of the full 65C02 instruction set in a transparent way to the user. I do not understand this. I just want to play LoadRunner.
Right.
So what is this? Explain this to me.
So as I understand it, when you bought the enhanced Apple IIe kit from Apple, and it came with, the new ROMs and the character generator and things like that, it did not come with an updated the ROM monitor. And so when you went to list programs that were written in 65C02 using the new instruction sets, they were not properly available for you to browse.
That actually does make sense to me. This sounds like a pretty good thing.
That's what that is. So,
okay, cool. You know what? I'm totally on board with this. This is awesome. Okay. Why is it called Adventures in Flatland?
I don't, because he's French. I don't know. The guy's name is Benoit Guillon. I hope I pronounced that properly.
Because he's French makes no sense at all as an answer to that. But okay.
I'm an American.
I don't understand the title, but the actual thing, you know what this is? This is A2 Cloud and A2 Server all over again. They sound cool. I cannot keep them straight because of the names.
All right. So there's a DOS 3.3 disk image that you can download, a PDF text article that shows you how the patch works, and some assembly stuff if that's what you're browsing. Anyway, it's all free, and you can get that now.
I have a question for you since you brought that up. Mike, you personally, are you a DOS guy or a ProDOS guy?
Yes. I was always a DOS 3.3 guy. And when ProDOS came out, I was sort of on my way out of doing regular Apple II use. All my games and everything came on DOS 3.3. All the main applications they may have come with ProDOS versions, but they were already on DOS 3.3. And I didn't have a hard drive, so I didn't really see the use of, like, it's still just 140K on a disk. I don't really need ordered directories for that little data. I mean,
I'm the same way. I'm still really not a hard drive user when it comes to 8-bit stuff. I'm like a disk image user guy or a disk thing. So I'm still in the DOS 3.3 land. Although, I mean, ProDOS calls to me. It's just I still find it a little weird and confusing. And the volume names, and there's so much typing. I want to open that file. Give me the full path. Why? It just seems. I think it's just because I'm not used to it. But I still find that DOS 3.3 is what calls to me.
Yeah, I also have a personal resentment against ProDOS because it was based mostly on Apple III sauce, but they ripped out a lot of that. That's right, but they ripped out all the good code. And the nice thing about sauce was that, when Macintosh came out, Jobs and everybody else complained about how the Apple II and all these other computers sucked because they had a command line. The Apple III never had a command line. It was ProDOS without the command line. There was never any prompt that you had to type anything into that way.
I'm sure both people who owned one really liked that.
God, I get no respect. I tell you what. Speaking of ProDOS, and
if we make fun of the Apple III, we might drop 3 listeners.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think our subscriber count dropped from 6 to 2 today. Thanks to you, sir.
Because of me, baby. No one kills an audience like me.
Just insulting everybody you can. Yeah.
Okay, who are we going to insult next? Who's up?
Well,
Who's on
John
deck?
Brooks. He's next on our list. He recently released the ProDOS 2.4 update, which fixed a bunch of bugs and extended the calendar stuff.
I have nothing bad to say about that. So I would like to. I wish I was I'm on a roll here, but come on, what could you possibly say
about how much
about
you hate ProDOS, but you're happy with a patch for it? Who cares?
Well, yeah, sure, totally, because it completely fixed it. It was amazing. It was amazing. It blew my mind that happened.
You're such a weird guy.
I know. I contain multitudes.
All right. Well, he's not just a ProDOS programmer. He's also come up with a new program called BBSes, and it's now in alpha.
That's a good name. That's a good name.
4.
Yeah, 0.4 though. That's a heck of a version number. That instills confidence. He says, in fact, he quoted here saying, "Right now, BBSes is a proof of concept and has a ways to go before it becomes a full product." So the 0.4 makes sense. So it's a bit level disk imager. Like he says, it's like an EDD card, but no EDD card needed. That's pretty cool.
So is this more effective than, say, some of the other modern solutions like the what is that, 5025?
I don't know. It's a GS thing. I don't use GS stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. It says no EDD. Yeah, you're right. No EDD card needed. Just Juice GS plus 4. Or Juice GS.
GS plus 4.
Just GS plus 4.
It requires a subscription to Juice GS.
Ken has us trained, doesn't he? My goodness.
Totally. You know what? Everybody should have a subscription to Juice.gs.
You should.
I do agree with that. It's amazing.
You don't have to listen to the show ever again, and you probably won't, but get a subscription to Juice GS.
Yep.
Let's see. So that's pretty cool, right? You don't have to go out and plug additional hardware into your 2GS to do disk imaging. Yeah.
Cool.
We have next Diskalyzer, which is another...
No, you skipped over French Touch.
We're trying to at least group some things in some random order. You complained about it earlier, and now you're like...
Okay, we'll talk about the French Touch later. Stay tuned, folks.
Oh my God, why did I have you on the show?
Okay, what is Diskalyzer?
So Diskalyzer is a command line...
I know what this is. I'm so excited about this.
Well, then you tell what it is.
Go on. So, okay, I'll talk about it. So it's a cross-platform, it's a command line tool for manipulating and managing and creating and writing files to Apple II disk images, and other sort of disk images. And it's amazing. So there's been like Apple Commander and things like that around. So if you do Apple II development on, like, say, a modern Mac, like I like to do, or on modern PCs, but then stop that and get a Mac. Be like me. Be more like me is my suggestions, because it's awesome to be me.
Can never go wrong there.
So we can read and write to, like, ProDOS disk and DOS 3 point whatever and RDOS and Pascal disks. It can write to the disk images. It can read from them. It can convert things. It can do all that stuff. And there's builds. You can actually get a build for Mac OS or Mac OS, the modernist, most modern name of it. I'm still not used to that. And it's open source. It's GPL licensed. Super cool, because if you dealt with Apple Commander, it kind of exists, but it's like a Java thing or whatever. I find it difficult to work with. So I haven't used this yet, but I'm super keen on it. So if you do like cross-platform development, like you want to make Apple II things, but you want to do them on something else, then this is the kind of tool that you can plug into that tool chain, and it looks awesome. I'm very, very excited about this.
Now, would this supplant something like CiderPress?
Yes. Screw you, CiderPress, for not coming out on the Mac.
I see. So you never run CiderPress on?
I have opinions.
Wine? Oh, okay, opinions. I see.
Nope. That dude. And this looks great. It does everything I want from like a CiderPress type thing, but is available for my platform of choice. And it even exists for like Raspberry Pi and Linux and a whole bunch of things. So amazing. So it's command line, but looking cool.
This from the man who was just complaining about all the typing.
I complain about a lot of things.
All right, now back to the bit of sad news that we had. The French touch is going away.
Oh, it's a French touch.
Yes.
You might think that means something that it does.
So the French touch is one of those. I don't know how long they've been around. I think
6 years,
quite a while. 6 years, and this is.
It was really one. It was really one dude. Looks like Arnaud Coquier.
Yeah, and he's done.
I pronounced the name for you, so you wouldn't have to. So
thanks, pal. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that.
Bring on the Canadian.
He did a lot of cracking stuff with Antoine and some scans, and had a lot of great resources online. And that's all going away. Fortunately, Antoine has preserved what exists.
Well, it's not really going away. Like what exists is going to stay around. It's just it's not going to continue to be a thing. He wrote, and this is in translation, after more than 6 years of existence, it's time for me to close this blog and permanently abandon the Apple II. By dint of running after her youth, we finally understand we will never catch up with her. So it's one of those things. He just dove into nostalgia, got really into it, and is moving on. Maybe it says it's permanently, but people go, they come back. I have done that, whatever. So, but what has been created will stay around, and that's amazing. So well done, and French Touch. We salute you.
Yeah, a tinge of sadness there, but and Antoine posted in the Comsys Apple II, don't contact Arnaud. All of his accounts have been deactivated, and he's not there anymore. But his stuff lives on. Mm-hmm. Do you like Opera?
Yes,
not the browser. Not the browser.
No, nobody likes the browser.
Would you?
But I don't know that I would like this one.
Pay to see a Steve Jobs?
No,
opera?
I would not.
Well, the DC Metro Theater Arts in Santa Fe would be deeply disappointed to hear that, because they have been putting on the Revolution. It's sort of they put the R in parentheses because they're a little weird portmanteau visual thing. I don't know. They've been running that for the 2017 season. That season just came to an end, but the show will be returning for 2018. You can get tickets now, and there's a nice review of it over at DCMetroTheaterArts.com. We'll have a link in the show notes, and there's even some clips that you can watch and that Carrington will not be watching because...
Save you a click. The summary of the review says, the music drama lasts just 90 minutes and leaves us emotionally satisfied. So... it was a pretty positive review, kind of surprising, because it looks like this is like community theater, but as opera. Like, and about Steve Jobs. I'm like, oh, this seems like more something you would get sentenced to versus buy tickets to. So I don't know, but it's a thing. So it's a thing.
Yep, divided up into 18 scenes, and The composer is Mason Bates, whose previous work has been as a DJ and creator of electronic soundscapes. So I don't know if that speaks well for the show or not.
DJs are not musicians.
Wow.
At me, bro.
That's a statement, folks. There it is.
Communication, entertainment, information, illumination, connections, interaction, navigation, communication, inspiration, comprehension, not to mention communication. One device does it all in one tap in the news, tap see the date, tap in the flight, tap stay in touch, tap stay in shape, tap talk to friends, tap positive, tap map a road, tap pay a bill, tap plan a day, tap clear a day, tap try a nap, tap scrap a nap. Here's some love, hear the boss, hear your boss, tight, swipe. Cheer the game, play a game, send a card, mend a heart. Buy a tie, lend some time, order tie. Miss your kids, miss your wife, miss your home, miss your life.
But there's a much better option for Apple II Music if you want it. 8-Bit Weapon has released a new album of entirely Apple II music called Class Apples. Have you heard this, Carrington?
I have opinions about 8-Bit Weapon. My opinion is they're awesome. My opinions are all positive. I think two people. They seem super pleasant as individuals, and they seem really fun as a group. And I really like their approach to music. And I'm not a chiptune fan really, and I'm not an electronic music fan. But 8-Bit Weapon is one of the ones that wins me over. So I'm actually super positive about this.
Wow.
And so this. There's like an album got released for it's electronic music, like chiptune kind of stuff, but all the sounds, like even the drums, like everything comes directly from, like they say, directly from the motherboard of the Apple II personal computer. And I think that's in part due to help from Michael Mann and his DMS, the digital music synthesizer, and also Charles Magnan, who made the Apple II MIDI box. But this is pretty cool. I think pretty cool. Like if you like this kind of music, you will super like this album, and you should get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is basically a 12-track album of classical, I guess, cover tunes, if you could call them that. It's got a few numbers from Bach. Most of them are from Bach, actually, and there's Beethoven and a couple of Mozart tunes thrown in there.
Never heard of them.
And it's all stuff you've heard of, Moonlight Sonata and Ave Maria and things like that. But it's a lot of fun, and you can get it now.
Sing me samples.
No, I'm not doing that.
So the listeners can understand what it is. Sing I know that one.
You can buy the album now for $7 or more if you want. It's available on Bandcamp, which is a website that I absolutely love because not just
big thumbs up for Bandcamp.
Right. Not just because it's a great interface and easy to use, but because it supports independent music. Or even cooler, if you want, and you think it's worth it, you can actually subscribe to 8-Bit Weapon. $25 a year gets you access to everything that they put out from now, like their past catalog and what they're going to do in the future. Or if you just want a one-time thing, you can buy their whole discography as it exists now for $47.25 or more if you want to tip them.
Well, that doesn't make sense. So for $25 a year, you get access to everything in the past. So you would just spend $25, make a subscription, grab all the back stuff, and cancel your subscription. How can they be charging more than $25 for the back catalog?
I'm just reading what's in front of me.
Pricing makes no sense. It should be like $20 for the back catalog and $25 to subscribe. Come on.
I will send you the email address where you can write and complain.
I have opinions.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, check that out. I have a copy. I love their music, and I don't complain as much as Carrington, but I like it just as much. one more Apple II audio video thing that's sort of odd because after I was finding the URLs for 8-Bit Weapon stuff, I just, typed in Apple II Music and started clicking around, and I stumbled across audioimprov.com. I think it's a blog, actually, that belongs to a musician. It looks like he's done mostly Mac stuff, of course, because that's what he does. His name is Harry Sproggins, and there's a section on Apple II, the tools that he used, and there's some clips. And interestingly, so I guess for the American Film Institute's 1984 video festival, he performed as Electron, the video orchestra, creating live video on a bank of Apple IIs synced to a master clock and an ALF synthesizers running on another Apple II. And I think that's really kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This is part of the AFI, the American Film Institute's 1984 video festival. So their entry was Electron, all caps, the video orchestra. So 80s. The AFI people will know as that people that put out the top 100 films of all time, and they put that out every single year with slightly changing lists. It's like, dude, come on. Wasn't this already established? You should only slot in the new films if needed, but whatever. Also, I'd like to comment that Harry Sproggins sounds like a way you would describe somebody versus actually their names. Tell me something about him. Harry Sproggins. Are you not allowed to say that kind of thing about somebody?
I'll just bleep that out, folks.
I have opinions. So this, in a sense, Apple II music video, and the last thing we're talking about reminded me of other Apple II music thingies.
Yeah.
Like you had linked to one, this Jed's Other Poem, I think it's called.
Okay.
I think you linked to that, right?
Yes, I did.
A band called Granddaddy? I do not know Granddaddy.
I don't either. And this is sort of it took me a while to sort of puzzle through this page and figure out what was going on. So if you go to the link that we're going to have in the show notes, there's on the left, there's a Vimeo video. And on the left, there's a number of little cards, I guess you would call them. Each one kind of has a date on the top, and it sort of just goes through and describes the history of the song that you will hear when you click play on the Vimeo video. And there's an interesting note about how it was, he released the source code for the music, which didn't really make a lot of sense to me until I watched the video, because what happens is, so it's a guy singing and playing music, and there's action taking place on an Apple II screen that's synced to his singing. And I don't think it was, I don't know, maybe he made the Apple II stuff first and then made sure that his singing and play lined up with that. But either way, it's kind of cool. And I guess he was going to be sued for something, but he signed a record with V2 Records, and so it was all legal. I'm not really sure what the history is, but I just enjoyed kind of watching the action on the screen as there's cool music playing.
Mm-hmm. And that reminded me of two other kind of related video things. There's Jonathan Colton, who's all kinds of awesome, has a song Still Alive from Portal, and there is a video of Still Alive, the song being played by an Apple II, and on the screen is like sort of the images you get if you've played the game Portal. And if you haven't played Portal, you should. And the song, the video from the end of it really spoils some of the game. So you shouldn't watch it if you haven't played Portal. Heads up. But if you have played Portal, then you probably know the song Still Alive, and you remember the kind of the video in a sense, like what you see at the end of the game. And that got recreated on an Apple II that is at the same time playing an Apple II version of the song. So I can send you a link and we stick it in the show notes for the video to that, which is super fun. So you can see Portal Still Alive, the Apple II version. And also Jonathan Colton more recently did a song called All This Time. That's a super sad song and will give you all the feels. And there's a really neat video for that's done in the form of, it looks like somebody playing an old text adventure on like an old vintage computer. And it's also a text adventure that when you read the text that's happening that kind of relates to the song, it will give you more of the feels. It is quite an effective video. And if you're super into like old computers or old like Infocom games or whatever, then it's very much worth watching. So I will send you links to both so you can stick them in the show notes.
And one more thing, just related to Apple II Music, just because I like talking about this at every opportunity. We've talked about it on other shows. There's an Apple II user that goes by the name Stinks, STYNX. He has a YouTube page, Vintage Micro Music, and he's gone through a lot of these old Apple II discs and pulled off the MIDI files and some of these other the Vamps files and things like that, and sort of collected them into groups of, that would make sense as listenable albums, and put them online, and you can listen to all of those without having to boot up an emulator or your real machine. I think that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yep. And we have two more items that I put on the list while Carrington wasn't looking because he was filibustering about opinions or something.
I regret nothing.
The first is Octalyzer. This is a new Apple II emulator. Have you seen this, Carrington?
I have not.
Okay, so go to Octalyzer with a Y .com, and this is a new emulator that basically 3D-izes your
That's
Apple
not a
II
word.
games. Sure it is. I just made it up. I'm making words. It 3D-izes your Apple II games.
Okay, Webster. So I have now, while you were talking, I watched the video. Mm-hmm. Well, I watched like half of the video because it's like 4 minutes long. This is actually pretty cool. And like, what? It's neat. Have you watched it?
I have not watched it because I don't care. No, I'm kidding. This was announced at one of the Ozfest things that happens down under, where they weirdly name things, and I don't know much about it yet. It looks like it does. It basically takes your games and sort of adds a 3D shadow to them. Is that right? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it looks, right? So it's in that it 3D-izes it, to coin a word.
Oh, you jerk.
I get that a lot.
Listen to Carrington coining words that he didn't think of. And this was put on by a company or magazine, I guess, called Paleotronic, and sort of segues nicely into our last item, a new magazine that was also announced down under, Retro Technology for Today. And I don't know if the first issue is out yet. It looks like it sells.
It's going to come. It's going to come this month. It's going to come out in September, and you can subscribe at the moment. And well, it's an Australian magazine. They say it will be available worldwide.
Okay. And is this just paper, or is it going to be PDF as well?
It's, I think, just paper, but I don't know. Like at the moment, well, it's coming this month. If you try to subscribe, there's just things saying, "Hey, email us and we'll get back to you." The
webpage looks sort of not quite done yet, which would make sense if they're trying to prep the first issue. But they do have a submissions link, and you can submit articles or if interest in writing an article for them. And if they publish it, you'll get that copy for free. So that's kind of cool. I guess, you could get a free subscription if you got something published in every issue.
If your stuff gets published in juice.gs, you get paid. Just saying.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. This is not, sadly, it's not just Apple II, which kind of sickens me, but, there's C64 stuff and other garbage like that in there. But I think overall this looks kind of cool. Now, I know that there have been attempts in the past to publish retro computing magazines, and I don't know that any of those have been really successful long term. What do you think about this one?
I think it's a very difficult thing to do. I think that probably writing something with broad appeal, like that's not just an Apple II thing or something, is important to try to get enough listeners. But magazines as a whole are going away. So making a retro magazine work might be quite difficult, but there are some, and they do exist. So some people can get this done. I think it's an uphill slog. And well, there, like you point out, there will be like Commodore 64 stuff in there. I'll just say, putting this politely, there are other uses for paper than reading. So,
right in the toilet, folks.
There's that.
They do have the preview for the cover of Volume 1, Number 2, the October 17th issue, and it's a nice big photograph of one of those, what's the dog robot, not from Doctor Who, but one that you can buy. That's there, and an Apple IIgs in the background, so that's kind of cool. It doesn't look like there are any There's no specific mention of what you might find inside other than the spookiest 8-bit Halloween games and teaching old dogs, i.e. old computers, new tricks. But it looks like they sell, if you buy at least single issues, they're planning to charge you $4.99 per issue or $6.99 if you're in Australia or Canada.
Yeah, but $4.99 is very cheap for a magazine. Like if it depends on how it's published. Like it depends on is it a magazine and what its quality is, but like glossy paper, glossy cover, that's expensive to produce in what would presumably be relatively small quantities. It's not going to print 100,000 of these things to produce that cheaply. If it's like color laser printed cover with just like photocopied guts, more of a newslettery type thing, maybe you could keep the price down to that. But that does seem to me like a pretty low price for a magazine. Like cover prices for magazines are a lot higher than that for regular magazines, and they're printed much higher volumes. So I think it's probably too cheap.
Or poor quality? Is that the...
No. I don't think it's necessarily poor. To do it a different way, it doesn't mean it's poor quality. It's just maybe different than one would think of as glossy modern magazine. Because it's hard to produce, just cost-wise. I don't see how that could get done.
Okay. Well, you have opinions that don't always make sense, so
I have many opinions that don't make sense. Agree to disagree.
Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of the news this month, unless you have anything else, Carrington.
Agree to agree.
All right. Let's talk about eBay.
We don't talk about eBay on the show. See, I can do the Quinn thing.
Look, rare! Steve Jobs. Look what we found on eBay.
All right, so this item is we're going to talk about more clones, Carrington.
It's a clone, dude. It's a clone. You picked a clone.
Of course I did, because it's cool, because it's a clone. That automatically makes it cool. Have you heard of Albert computers, Carrington?
I have, only in that you picked one, so I read a bit about it.
I see.
But I had not, previous to this show, I will admit, I had not heard of one.
Well, neither have I. So Albert Computers was apparently a computer company back in the 80s that cloned Apple IIs. The CEO, Amos Robbins Mansfield Jr., recently passed away, and they went through a storage unit and they found a bunch of these Albert computers. I guess it was the remnants of the business after they shut down. I don't know if it was sued out of existence by Apple or just never caught on, but it looks like there were maybe 3 or 4 of these machines, and you can buy one now on eBay. He's asking $250 with a reserve that has not been met yet. So, Carrington, I assume you'll be buying this?
Oh, I'll buy 4 of them.
Oh, you buy all of them?
I gotta say, I like the description for this, where it talks about how these are quirky machines and they are a bit buggy. And he says, if you press the I and the O on the keyboard simultaneously, it'll crash to the assembler. I'm like, okay. And it's just the nature of the beast. I'm like, oh, what? And he also says the compatibility for real Apple II stuff is spotty. He says, I was able to run several Apple games just fine, but some work and some don't. It's And he says the parallel port has damage to the plastic, but he thinks that's intentionally done. That's how you got to fit it in the case. In manufacture, they would intentionally damage it. It's wow. Okay, cool. I guess. Way to get that clone.
Maybe that's why this company never took off, because they couldn't come up with a proper case for it. It does look nothing like an Apple II. It sort of reminds me of one of those AT&T PC clones that was released back in the 80s that weighed 50 pounds and ran some weird flavor of Unix and was just gross and ugly. And then it does have the detachable keyboard, so there's that advantage over an Apple II with the little phone cord attachment there. So, Carrington, you need 3 of these, man.
Mm-hmm. My response to that is stuff won't fill that void, dude. Go get off eBay and go have an adventure. Do the things that somebody playing the RPG version of your life would want to role play. Don't be an NPC in your own life, man. Get off eBay and stop collecting stuff. There you go.
Well, this is serial number 183, so I don't know if there are 182 more of these, but
Paul has all of them.
My God, doesn't he? It does have this thing, a screenshot of it booted up and playing Donkey Kong. Yay for that. It does look the case anyway looks very PC-ish. Just everything from the weird little flippy knobs on the floppy drives to the boxy, ugly design to the like weird cursive computer name on the front. Yeah. So I'm wondering if it wasn't, the design wasn't lifted from that. And then, like you said, we'll just chip away at this board and make sure it fits.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So, lastly today, I think we're gonna put the feedback on hold until Quinn gets back. She likes to yell at our listeners, so we'll save that for her. But we like to talk about Softalk magazine.
Do it.
All right, this issue is number 5 for January 1981. We start off with a photograph of a yellow cab in what I presume is New York City, because the main title there is big as Apple in the Big Apple. And I don't know if this was, I guess it wouldn't be Photoshopped, would it? Pasted in that there was that poster, you see it on eBay every now and then. It says Pascal spoken here, and the Pascal is in the Apple logo colors with the Apple, with the rainbow apple next to it. That's for some reason pasted up into the back window of the cab. Mm-hmm. We are execing Cal Pacific, a company I've never heard of, and somebody named the Disk Drive Doctor. So let's dive right in, Carrington.
Let's do it. You open the cover and you see an ad for a Calabath. So come on, how cool is that?
Right. And this is the original Calabath when it was still being sold by California Pacific Computer Company before that was all bought by Sierra. Let's see the contents. We have Big Apple gives Little Apple the business in New York City. I guess maybe somebody was there and wanted to write an article about it. The Robot War software that I think Quinn's a big fan of that game.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Have you played that?
Yes, I have. Yeah, big fan. It's awesome.
I know that Jimmy Marr over at that awesome Antiquarian blog that's just amazing. You should be reading that and not listening to us. I think at one point he tried to revive a Robot War competition or tournament for Apple II users, but he didn't get enough interest, and I was severely disappointed in that.
Yeah.
We have their first annual most popular software poll, which may have been kind of the part of the founding of those awesome top 10 lists.
First annual should not be a phrase, but okay.
Well, it's, presupposing future events. How's that? The Disk Doctor is apparently a guy named Mike Kornblith. We'll get to him in just a minute. And, Cal Pacific is California Pacific, the computer company that sells a Calabath. So I bet we'll hear more about that.
They took a big inside the cover ad, and look, they got a big write up on page 32.
Okay, so on to this month's weird contest. What do we have here? So the winner from
limericks.
Okay, they described that a limerick is a 5-line verse of a light, usually humorous and sometimes nonsensical nature, sort of like Carrington. Its meter is anapestic, meaning each line is made up of a grouping of 2 short syllables followed by a long one. There's a bunch of rules about that. Basically, they're wanting Apple II limericks. Carrington, do you have any Apple II limericks for us?
They're all too dirty to say. And they're also mostly about you. There once was a podcaster named Mike, who nobody said he would like. No, I'm kidding.
I try, folks. Really, I do. The mill. So are you familiar with this almost mythical coprocessor card that was put out by the mill?
I am not, but from the ad, I see that it's a 6809.
Yeah, apparently.
What the heck is a 6809?
It was a better version of the 6502 with more commands, and I guess it was faster, and nobody ever used it for anything. So unless you were programming for the 6809, you didn't really need one of these except to show off to your friends about how much better you were than they were.
Mm-hmm. I love an ad that says, buy this thing, and $275. It didn't have a cost. That's expensive. So we already bought the computer, and back then, so this is I don't even know what that'd be in modern US dollars, million or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, drop $275 to add a coprocessor into an existing computer. I don't know, man. That is a tough sell.
Yeah, that's hard because this is back when, I think by now the CPM cards, the Microsoft And the various clones that followed were selling already for the Apple II for quite a bit less than $275.
And had much more support, like CPM.
Right.
So
yep. There was a ton of CPM software already out there that could run. You didn't have to write your own stuff for it. So I don't know what the appeal was for this now. I know these things sell for a lot more than that on eBay these days. Micropainter by the horrible company Datasoft Incorporated. There's an ad for that. I think that's Albert Einstein. Is that right? Is that who I'm seeing? Yep. Okay. Is this a software package that you've ever used, Carrington?
Nope.
Okay, moving
Probably
on.
requires an accelerator. And who's got one of those?
So next we have the Big Apple Gives Little Apple the Business, an article by
some little known person.
That's right. Never heard of her, Margot Has that you pronounce that? Margot Comstock, yes.
That's it.
With this little stripe across the top that says "I love MA," which to me goes Massachusetts, but I don't know. And it's an interesting article that covers a few different local small businesses and how they are trying at the time to integrate small computers into their lives and to help them make profits, as well as some, computer resellers and things like that. What do you think about this?
They probably all gone out of business.
You have no opinions, Carrington. What's going on here?
I've got opinions. It's kind of neat. I mean, I did read this article and it was okay, but I think this was like a filler thing. And it's surprising to me that it made the cover because it's like talking, I guess maybe it was still at this time exciting that local people were using their Apple IIs or something. Mm-hmm. But this is the kind of article that would not have been published like 2 years later.
That's true. Yep. This sort of looks like we're really trying hard to make this seem relevant at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, look, you can use it in computer, and here's a few or you use it in company, and here's a few small businesses that do use it. I don't know. It's kind of neat from an archaeological standpoint to look at like people that were early adopters in their companies for the Apple II. But I think like 2 years later, this would be old hat.
Yeah, that makes sense. Of course, they cover the newly released or may have come out already and had many bugs and was pulled back Apple III.
Never heard of it.
It said that the McGraw-Hill bookstore isn't showing the Apple III yet and won't do that until they've learned how to use it.
So they never did.
This, of course, was, I think, back before people realized, this is not going to sell well and be a problem for everyone. The person she interviewed said that Tucker believes the Apple III will cut into Apple II sales only slightly and predicts many mixed orders for Apple IIs with backup. And see, here's the thing that I don't think Apple understood with the III is that this was never going to supplant the II. People loved their Apple IIs and they had good reasons to do that. And the Apple III didn't provide any replacement for that. And so they stuck with the Apple II, and now you have what you have today. Microsoft was selling a 16K RAM card. Yay. Let's see. What do we have in the discussions, letters? Nothing interesting there. Synergistic software.
We should know the 16K RAM card isn't for like RAM in general. It's for like their soft card.
Yeah, that's true.
Add RAM for the Microsoft. So it's like, here's a card you plug in that adds RAM, not for your Apple, but for the other thing you're running inside your Apple.
Yep. So if you have a Microsoft soft card and you're running CPM software in your Apple II, you can use another slot to give it an additional 16.
RAM. It's like, I guess, because you really just wanted to have the other. I don't know. And you glossed over, there was at the end of the New York article, there was also an ad for The Prisoner.
Was this a game that you played?
I did, yes.
What do you think?
I don't think I ever finished it. Mm-hmm. I think I played just a bit of it at a KansasFest a bunch of years ago. So it's kind of like a adventure game based on the Prisoner, the TV show.
Uh-huh.
So,
and did you watch the TV show?
I did. I was a big fan. That's why I played a bit of the game. I'll eventually come back to it.
How close was the game to the show?
Not at all.
Okay, just the name then.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet that it was not licensed, dude.
No. Because they even say it's like inspired by the TV show.
I see.
Inspired by means we're not paying royalties.
On the next page, we have an ad for Synergistic Software. They have the program line editor and hired text, which was back when you had to buy additional programs to give you better text output on your Apple II.
Or you could buy one of those weird Chinese clones and get your text output that way, because that sounds super awesome.
Oh, my goodness. Your opinions. Let's see. Anything interesting in open discussion?
Nope.
Okay.
That's just like people writing in. Who cares what they want to say? We want the real writers.
That's right. Yes. An ad from a company called Peripherals Plus for VersaWriter, the high resolution color graphics for Apple II or II Plus. Didn't the Apple II already have that, Carrington?
Yeah, but this is like one of those things, I think. Wasn't the VersaWriter, was that just software? I thought it was, no, it comes with like
it's a graphics tablet.
A graphics tablet, yeah. So I never had one. I don't think I've even seen one, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's described as a digitizer and software package representing a new approach to high-res graphics, which is kind of what they had to use to differentiate it.
You know what's not in this ad though? Lot of graphics
or color.
Like there's no color. It's a big thing that looks like an article. So it's got like a small black and white little image on the top of their drawing surface, and then just 3 columns of all text. I'm like, you're trying to sell a high resolution graphics thingy. What the heck, dude? Get some artists and knock out some graphics.
Now this thing sold for $252,
which is a weird number. 252. Don't you think? Like you couldn't spot me the deuce? Come on.
Postpaid in the continental United States. Now, I assume the Apple graphics tablet was out by now. Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just here for color commentary.
I see. Let me Google. Magic. That came out in 1979. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm not seeing any ad scans popping up immediately. But I think I think the graphics tablet was probably more than that. And maybe that was the price point. Maybe the Apple graphics one was $259. I can't.
So you could go with this other one. Save yourself $7.
I can't imagine why else you would buy this over the Apple one, because that's the other problem with this ad is they don't actually give you any like reasons why this is better than what Apple has been already making for a couple of years and people know is a good product. That was they bought a full page ad in Softalk. So we have an article called "The Logical Way" by William Depew. And this looks like an ongoing article where they talk about how computer programming logic works. And did you read through this at all?
I did not. This one I skipped.
Okay, so it's basically how binary math works and things like that, stuff that most Apple II users probably have in the back of their heads somewhere anyway. But at the time, it's 81, the volume of people buying Apple IIs was really ramping up, and there are a lot of people out there wanting to know how to program this thing, and this is, I think, sort of an attempt to show you how the math works. We have an ad for Serious Software. I think that's
this is really cool. Like 3 different action software titles, I say, from Serious Software.
Yeah, this is the first ad I think that we've seen from Serious in Softalk. I'm sure somebody will correct me because I'm always
they're going to say
that.
No, 3. You talked about it then, and it's like but pretty cool. So there's 3 different games listed: Both Barrels, Star Cruiser, and Cyberstrike. No, again, no images of the things, just descriptions.
It's a hand-drawn starship sort of looking thing at the top of the ad. The first packaged Both Barrels is actually 2 games, one called High Noon and the other one called Duck Hunt. Long before I assume Nintendo got there. But yeah, no graphics at all. I think I've heard of Star Cruiser. I know I've heard of Cyberstrike. I did not know about the other ones. What about you?
I knew Star Cruiser, but I don't think I know Cyberstrike. Huh. You know that one? Huh. Okay, yeah. Well, cool. Oh my goodness, you can Apple II, II Plus, or Apple III.
What?
Cyberstrike.
Man, I got to run right out and buy
Warning,
that.
This game requires practice to play successfully. Use either 13 or 16 sector, Apple II, II Plus, or 3. My goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, those went away Apple III compatibility.
Those went away real quick.
Yep. That's neat. You don't see that a lot in ads, so that's pretty cool.
We have Microlab is continuing to run Dogfight for another month. I think talked about that early on. And I think, isn't Dogfight just sort of their version of Flight Sim 2?
Yes, it is.
I see. All right. Again, no graphics. On the next page, the Serious Software presents action software for the Apple. And it's
I think they messed up the title on that because the one on the previous page was the action software, and this also is the action software. But no, it's an ad for Easy Draw, so it should have been graphics software. They clearly little cut and paste and didn't fix their ad. Whoops.
Back when things were run fast and loose and off the cuff. And somebody probably called and they said, "Are you sure you want to run this?" And
and we're probably done this time in paste up, like maybe using I did graphics and coupon design and stuff back in this period.
You did? Okay.
So this would have been done on some sort of linotype machine or whatever it looks like. And so you type out your little bits, or you print them up. They print out on a sheet. You get your X-Acto knife and you cut out the things and you paste them all down. And it's really easy to like grab the wrong one and paste them in. And yeah, proofreading was a big deal back then. And
wow.
this is the exact kind of thing that would slip through because it's all spelled correct. And nobody would think, "Whoa, no, hold on. That's supposed to be the one that says graphics software." I recognize all these fonts and stuff used here, though. That totally looks like it came from Linotype.
Okay, next up we have the Market Talk reviews. They talk about Apple Computer's DOS toolkit, which comes with typefaces and programs that allow you to design even more fonts for your Apple II. There is the Computer Station has wrapped up Apple Writer and a bunch of other things like the DOS toolkit and resold them. I think you had the option to buy the Silent Type printer as well with that. And they called it Apple Writer Graphics. A lot of this was back before Apple Works and a lot of the other word processors were out there, and Apple Writer was the thing to have.
Mm-hmm. And it includes an upside down text thing. Like in the sample here, you can see one of them is like a font that is essentially printed upside down.
That's pretty a thing that happened. They talk about the dogfight game that we mentioned, but yeah, that's Flight Sim. And I don't think it sold as well for whatever reason as the Sublogic version. There's an ad at the bottom of the page here for the book of Apple Computer Software, 1981. Have you ever seen? So back then, before there was obviously web pages, you just go out and peruse. If you wanted to know all the software that was out there, you either had to trust that it would maybe show up in a magazine like this that you happen to see, or there were these giant tomes.
Yep, that would just basically list all the stuff, and you can go through and say what's available for me to buy and where could I get it from.
Yep,
because you might not have a local store that's going to stock all this stuff. You can't just like go into a shop and look at the shelves. You're going to be buying it directly from people selling out of their garages, basically. So it's like, here's where you send your money in an envelope.
And these tended to, I know in later years, they tended to run, over 1,000 pages long, and they were printed on that real cheap, thin paper to keep it from weighing 400 pounds. But there were a few of these. I think Van Love's was a real popular one, and I know there were one or two others, but this one is for the book of Apple Computer Software, 1981, available for $19.95. And it looks like that's maybe the only thing that they sell there, because you wrote the address is the book 1981 and an address.
Yep, that's it.
Next up, we have the Robot War Strategy for Learning article. Did you read this?
I did, yes, and hooray for Robot War. And it's kind of introducing people to what Robot War is and why you would want to play it and what you can learn from it, and how it's like basically a game where you write code that attacks other people's code type things, and super fun.
This is a game that, unfortunately, I think, does better with more people involved. But, it'd be fun to really dive in with some Apple II folks today and get a tournament going. So I know Jimmy doesn't listen to the show, but if he did, he should hear this and go start that tournament up again. We have an ad from Online Systems for High-Res Adventure number 0, because I think
number 0.
I think number 1 was Mystery House, and now they're just playing with numbers, I guess. I'm not really sure. There's a drawing of it, an astronaut sort of looking over his shoulder like he's about to be attacked.
Yeah, and again, like the real push for these games was the fact that they were high-res adventures, that they had all these graphics. It's all about the graphics, and even the ad is like it's got over 100 high-res pictures, and there's full 21 color, and it's all amazing color, and here's our all-text ad that doesn't show any of these pictures. But again, it was also probably very difficult to reproduce accurately and in a pleasant way an image from the Apple II screen into this magazine. Like, there's not going to be just, let me take a screenshot from this and bring it over into Photoshop. Like, so, and what do? Take a Polaroid of the screen and then try to get that into print quality? Like, it would have been very difficult to reproduce that. So there's reasons why it wouldn't happen. But at the same time, maybe like figure out a way, dudes, because that's the whole point of your game.
On the next page, I was just reading Silas Warner, who did a bunch of great stuff from Software, also did Robot War. We have an ad from Synergistic Software for the Stargazer's Guide, a high-resolution handbook of constellations for the Apple II. It's basically...
And this shows pictures.
Yeah, at least their screenshots are not great. They're kind of smeared and muddy and you can't read the text, but at least you see it
kind of shows exactly why it's difficult, because these are clearly photographs, because you can see there's like a blotchy dark part in the middle of each, which would have been like from a reflection. And these really are just somebody took photos, they burned them down to black and white and stuck them in here and said, there, like, look, it's dots on the screen. But it gives you at least an idea, but I mean, you can't read it. It's all smudgy. So they went the other way, but I applaud them for throwing in some images. Yep.
Me too. That was $30 for the Stargazer's Guide, Astronomy Software. Interesting little blurb at the kind of the end of the trade talk section here. Carnegie Mellon planned to present every incoming freshman with a microcomputer. I think this was back when the kind of fever was taking hold and people weren't really thinking through the economics of how much that would cost and the maintenance and things. You know, I know that Carnegie Mellon wasn't the only university to give away computers like that, though. Is that something that happened up there in the Great White North, Carrington?
No, we still don't have computers. Computers are a fad. The secret is to bang the rocks together, guys. But there's also an ad for a Wizard and the Princess.
Oh, yeah, there is. High-Res Adventure number 2. They skipped over number 1. Yeah. There is a mention of Apple's IPO, sold over the counter, which they said describe as having ignited a dramatic upsurge in the per-share price, originally set at a range of $14 to $17. It went up to $22.
What? Not worth it.
No, 48 hours before the stock went public on Friday, December 12th, 1981.
Well, see, the big news in this magazine should have been that. Oh my goodness, you can buy Apple stock for $22, a non-split share.
Well, no, because before it went public, it soared, I say, to $29 a share.
And I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
How can you make money at that? They're saying it's a stellar opening day performance. Oh, how little you knew.
Yeah. And, you know, in 1997, that might have made sense. But, yeah, anyway. Assembly Lines article by Roger Wagner. This is part 4, Every Person's Guide to Assembly Language. And I loved these articles. What about you, Carrington?
They should have put out a book.
Okay, so you didn't.
No, I did. And Assembly Lines is awesome. And the book is awesome.
Okay.
This is what I say.
I see. There's an ad for Mr. Rainbow Says Blast Off with our special catalog feature. So it looks like an ad for, it is an ad for a game called Stellar Trek, I think. I'm sort of confused as to what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, like it's basically a Star Trek game.
I see. Again, hand-drawn graphics, no pictures, and the little swirl logo, because this is being sold by Rainbow Computers in Garden Plaza Shopping Center, where apparently early Sierra Online employees worked before that was established. And so we blamed Rainbow for stealing their logo, when actually it was probably the other way around. On the next page, we have an ad for, it is an online systems ad for high-res football with a little blue football guy running in behind the ad, but no real sense of what the game's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. And it's weirdly blue.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that it's blue. And so it must have been on a page that if you take apart the magazine and you look across the fold, there's a color thing there. Because, why the heck is this printed in blue?
Yep, because everything else so far has been black and white.
Yeah. So I think they were able to do it in blue because no doubt it's ganged up on a page where there's color there, so therefore they have color, because it's mocked out as a black and white thing, but it's weirdly printed blue. So anyway, it's another online systems high-res game with no graphics showing in the ad. Continuing the trend.
Right, and this is the address down at the bottom is, I think, their original address. Ken and Roberta Williams' home before they moved to the mountain mansion. This is on Mudge Ranch Road in Coors Gold, California.
And showing crazy early computer stuff. It says specifically orders may be check, although you guys spell check weird, Visa, Master Charge, or COD. You can write them and say, send me a game. I'll pay you when it arrives. Like, that's amazing.
Who did that, man?
But I think back then the post office could collect the money.
Yeah.
And they took it. So you could send something COD and the post office would say, okay, we've got it. Show up. You owe this much. And then they would remit it back to the sender.
Right. And
crazy that happened.
Well, and if you didn't have the money, the post office wouldn't give you the product. It was pretty simple. It wasn't like you give me that and I'll come back with the cash.
Yeah. But the idea nowadays, I can just send it to you COD and like the post office will figure it out.
Nope, that does not happen anymore. Next page, we have an ad from Muse Software. Muse, of course, is known mostly for their games, but they were trying to sell some business software. They had super text for $150, the form letter module for $100, address book mailing list for $50. And this is all part, I think, of DataPlot, or is that another product? I'm not sure. There's no price listed for that.
I think DataPlot's separate.
Okay.
I think maybe, I don't know. It's like, or these are all, maybe they all join together and it's like an office type thing or something. The ad's difficult to understand, but clearly Muse pushing, business software. And so that's a little weird.
It's not products that I think many people really remember. And this is back, I think, when like you bought a basic word processor, for example, and then if you wanted it to do more stuff, you had to pay for a lot for extra add-ons, spell checker, thesaurus, the mailing list stuff. And you can see kind of maybe why this didn't catch on, because these things are like ridiculously expensive, even for, I think, small businesses who would probably have been the primary customer for the software.
According to the internet, and what I see on it, spell checker has still not gone on.
No. Man, I hate that. High-res cribbage from online. Wow, Online Systems bought a lot of ad space in this issue.
They did indeed. They had games to push, baby. Games to push.
Bunch of pages and no screenshots of the games because
again, hard to think. Cribbage, neat. I have not played high-res cribbage. I didn't even know Online Systems had that. So this is news to me. I did recently learn how to play cribbage, though. So that's pretty. There's an iOS game, a really fun one called Cribbage with Grandpas. Mm-hmm. It's really good, and it taught me how to play cribbage. So I know how to play cribbage.
We will have to play at KansasFest. I've been playing.
But there's also a comic. There's a little cartoon on this page.
Oh, there is. I almost missed that. Please describe the comic since you're funny.
There's a bunch of people in a lab crawling around the ground, looking under things, and it says, "We lost the new microcomputer." Ha ha ha, because computers have gotten so small, you could drop it and lose it like a contact.
All right. SDS Software, Southwestern Data Systems, sells software that you can count on. They're selling Super Terminal and some Z80 stuff and Roger Wagner titles.
Mm-hmm. We talked about him earlier.
We did, and I think his stuff is probably their most popular items. If I had to guess, I don't think I ever owned any SDS software. Did you?
I did not. No.
I see. Okay.
But they also talk about that first annual.
Here it is. Yes,
the first annual list.
Most popular, not least popular, most popular software poll. You wrote in and vote. They asked you to vote for your top 10 favorite programs ever of any kind. You arrange them 1 to 10 with your favorite first and runners up, following in order of preference.
And on this page, like the top half of this is the official ballot, so you can cut it out of your magazine and record and send it in. What's neat is it just is like lines for top 10. So they're not suggesting games. It's totally a write-in thing. Although on this page is a quarter-page ad for Mystery House Adventure, High-Res Adventure number 1. So clearly and I bet you that was a premium ad slot where they went to them and said, "You're going to take all these ads, aren't you, Online Systems? And we'll include, you get the ad right on the write-in ballot, so nobody will forget your title." And of the games, it's interesting, they've got all these other ones and they held back Mystery House, and that goes on here. That is not a coincidence. So I'd love to see how they did in this poll, and I suspect Mystery House performed well. We'll find out, I guess, in a couple of episodes.
Probably so, yes. So Carrington, without doing any deep research or anything like that, just off the top of your head, what would you fill in for, 1 through 5?
Mystery House number 1.
Of course.
Or High-Res number 1. And then I don't know what would have come up by this time. Like Lode Runner's not out. All the best games are not out yet. I would say I would have written in Ultima 3. I look forward to it. Lode Runner, gonna be amazing. Choplifter, work on it. So I would have been what is this? The future. I know the future. I'm gonna send in my ballot.
You should.
What if it's too late to vote in this first annual?
Well,
I would have just written in first annual is not a thing. Scroll across it and sent it in.
Dear pedantic jerk, we received your letter. So you could either tear it out of the magazine, or you could send it by facsimile to Softalk Collection. And this was back when they were based on Burbank Boulevard in North Hollywood, and you had to have these in by February 16th, 1980. So you're a little late there, Carrington.
And as a note, it's not saying send it by fax. It's you can send a facsimile of this by mail, so you can make your own. You don't have a photocopy.
Like you don't.
So they say, or a facsimile, which means you could handwrite it. You could like make your own ballot and mail it. But no matter how you do it, you're sending it by postal mail.
All right, so next we have Market Talk news, and look, the second item in here is is a bit about High Res Adventure number 1, Mission Asteroid.
But no, that's High Res Adventure number 0.
Well, but it says number 1 right here.
But it was number 0 in the ad. That's a typo.
But isn't number 1 Mystery House?
Yeah, number 1 is Mystery House. That's a typo in this news thing.
I think that they should ask for their money back.
I think so too.
There's a lot of product placement going on here, folks. I think not that, I'm so jaded.
I read the book, Hackers, stuff like these were all pals. So they hung out and they all went to the cabin together and stuff and
hung out in the hot tub and took photo shoots for ads. Do you see anything all that interesting in here?
Some small company called Microsoft announced Olympic decathlon, but they're not going to go anywhere.
That was the game that the rumor was that you would break your keyboard smashing the arrow keys to run for the pole vault.
I thought it was Winter. One of the Olympic ones did that. Was it Olympic decathlon?
I thought it was. My dad wouldn't let me play this because of that. He thought I would break the arrow keys. He was probably right. They have a multimedia video system for the Apple II called AirApple. It's a system in the Arabic language, and has extensive peripheral support and includes including the Arab Print 160 for $4,200. The software comes with Arabic English video dictionary, voice data input through a device called the Arabic Speech Link, bilingual graphics tablet, business programs for accounting, inventory, scheduling, database management, cash register systems, educational programs for basic advanced math, statistical analysis, medicine, and general survey of Arab countries, and Video Max game series specifically designed for Arab users.
Localization. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Maybe not. That might not be what localization means, but you know what I mean.
Probably not. Yes. The AirApple system sells for a mere $2,850. That's $2,850.
Yeah, I was going to say not $28.50, folks. No, $28.50.
If you needed a clock calendar chip, the California Computer Systems, this was a driver. So this would have just been a program, I guess, where you set the time when it boots up and then it would stamp and you would have to redo that. Is that what I'm saying?
No, I thought it comes with the...
Oh, it's an actual clock. Okay.
I think it's a driver. They have a driver, but it's like it comes with an EEPROM.
So, California Computer Systems sold the 7424 calendar clock module that you could plug in and take up another slot in your computer for a mere $64.95. Did you ever have any use for a clock in your Apple II?
Yes. In fact, it's one of the things that's one of the features that's missing from the default Apple II that I really miss. Like, so much would be easier if there was always a clock and the same clock like from the beginning. If you could just pull the clock and get time, use it for getting random numbers, like all this, life would have been so much simpler with like just a default clock in all the Apple IIs.
Well, there you have it. Did you know that you could turn your IBM Selectric typewriter into a printer for your Apple?
I did know that, but those are super rare to come by as a modern thing. I'm very, very interested in the whole typewriter as printer thing and the Selectric module to do that. Like, you got to get the certain Selectric that has the parallel port in it and do that. But eBay just, the cost of these things nowadays, super, super dear. So
there's something that feels a little very steampunk about that. but you needed this EP104 selector conversion system from SCON Products in San Ramon, California and that sold for $575, and you needed a Selectric 1, 2, or 3 and your computer. So this is a very pricey solution, and it sounds like because of eBay, it's about that price still today.
Yeah, or more. Like they're unobtainium.
Wow. All right. We have an article by Al Tomarvik. Did you read this?
I did not.
Okay.
Can't read everything, man.
Oh man. Well, then we'll just. This is the disk drive doctor, and it looks less like an interview than a profile.
Yeah, it looks like an advertorial, to be honest.
A little bit, yeah. They interviewed Mike Kornblith, and he looks like he did or is working at Apple at the time that this was written, and he knows everything there is to know about fixing disk drives, and they would like you to know that. There's an ad for Cavalry Systems Incorporated interactive video, which I didn't know was a thing that you could do with the Apple II.
Nope. No, exactly. And it does exist as a, this must be a card or something like that, because there was like the video overlay card, and this seems like one of those type of things, I guess. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just taking maybe it's just your video and you use a splitter. And so you're like, I don't know. Seems weird that there's no pricing, so there's not a lot of details.
Yeah, it's a very vague ad. It almost looks like maybe this is more of a manual, like a training aid and database for audio-visual audio information searchable by keyword. Although it does say you can interface this through the RS-232 with Sony or Panasonic VCRs. So there's something else going on there. You could get it in AppleSoft Basic or Pascal, I guess. Choice of authoring systems. No price, though. I assume that, if you have to ask, you can't afford it, kind of a deal. It looks like we have an early ad from Spectrum Software. Quality disk software. You used to get, I don't know if you had these, Carrington, but I used to have like, I could flip through my floppy disk collection, pull out any non-labeled disk, pop it in, and there'd be like 50 word processors in a menu on there. Yeah?
Yes.
It looks like maybe that's what they're selling here, because you have like a disk with Universal Computing Machine and another one that's the Home Finance Pack. Or did they actually write the software? Can you tell?
That's a good question, actually, now that you say that. I don't know. Huh.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Because I know
Lost the time.
Yeah, I know that, we may have been a little bit early for this in 1981, but we're real close to that age where you had those mail order software houses that would, just list every known piece of game software for the Apple II and a price. Right. And they would take like 4 pages in Byte Magazine. And this is laid out kind of like one of those, but I think maybe they actually wrote this software. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Right. Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
So next we have Exec California Pacific. So Exec is, of course, their ongoing series of companies and profiles. It's not a single person. It's how the company works. And they have pictures of Al Remmers and Elaine Von Fang, their administrative assistant. Steve Gibson, is that the same Steve Gibson? I wonder, the game programmer or the game writer.
I think yes.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna guess. Yeah. So it's interesting. And then it's funny how they have only like for Lord British, the only available representation is just like a part of the Union Jack in the words of Lord British. Yeah. So no picture, so mysterious.
That's hilarious.
This was really interesting though. This was a really interesting write-up.
Well, go ahead. Tell us about it.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're into it, it was just like, it's kind of a fluff piece, just like about, but neat that they talk about, Bill Budge. And this is the meat of the magazine, I think, like to read this. And it's like, it's current and it's dropping names left and right and about like how they do business and, respecting the retailer and all that business. And, I dug it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an interesting little a couple of paragraphs about how they named their software back then. And if you remember, I think Atari was probably kind of at the forefront of this, but of removing programmers' names from the products. Like it wasn't Bill Budge's Triple Play. It was Triple Play, and that's originally or Trilogy, I think, was what they originally called it.
Trilogy. Yeah,
and they didn't have Bill's name on it. And the comment was that nobody goes to see 20th Century Fox's Star Wars; they go to see George Lucas's Star Wars. And nobody reads a book because it's published by Doubleday; they read it because they know and like the author. And they talk about their effort here to kind of make sure that people like Bill Budge and Lord British got the credit that they deserved, and that their names were on the software products. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very much so. And you're right that Atari was like, they were the big ones for that, which caused people from the 2600 or whatever, that's why you get Activision. They're like, screw you saying it's all by you. I wrote this game. This is mine. So interesting that this is the height of that battle between publisher and author for name recognition.
And we, of course, had Bill Budge on Open Apple a while back. RCR. And we were able to interview him about mostly, I think, his later titles. But it's interesting, when you think of Bill Budge, at least for me, I think of him, from his time at Apple, and then from his time publishing pinball games and things like that through Electronic Arts. I had forgotten that he was with California Pacific, but 3 of his titles were some of their biggest sellers before.
Yeah, exactly. I totally forgot that too. But yeah, this is a good reminder of that.
Carrington, do you need your Apple disc fixed?
Nope.
Oh, well, never mind then.
But if I did...
Image Computer Products is selling a 13 or 16 sector Apple II Disk Fixer, which is a utility for experienced Apple II users and a toolkit for manipulating, repairing, and protecting all data on the disk. It doesn't really say how it does that. It might just be
it's high-speed full-screen editor, and then it's a sector editor. It's totally a sector editor. This is a hacking tool. Whatever. It's Disk Fixer my butt.
The best part about this ad is the floppy disk with a Band-Aid over the disk over the read window. It's hilarious. Okay, yeah, and then they talk a little bit more on the next page about Lord British and how his initial software products. Calibeth, and I think the first Ultimate game were originally marketed by California Pacific. Before that, all moved over to Sierra. But yeah, pretty cool, right? Next we have revolutionary products from Continental Software USA.
Yeah, because there's like American flags all over this thing.
There's a bunch of American flags, and there's like a patriot standing there with his musket, and it's Continental
because it's revolutionary programs.
But what they're selling is like LA Land Monopoly and something called the Mailroom, which I think is just an address book, and a budget program called the Money Minder, and Hyperspace Wars 3D,
which is just that's just the Star Trek game again.
Yep, exactly. So there's that. The next page, I think, is the first, other than that earlier online ad that had the blue football guy. I think this is the first color ad we've seen.
And I wonder if you ripped apart the magazine, if this actually is on the same plate as that color one, as the other ad. And that's why, yeah. So it's who needs it, this PFS software? Who needs it? Oh, you do, says that. Oh, I hadn't realized.
Yep. Available from Software Publishing Corporation, I think before they changed the name to PFS Incorporated. PFS software is different. It is not a specialized application package or a complex programmer-oriented database manager. It is that's a lot of words. It is a personal filing system that lets you communicate with the computer using meaningful everyday concepts. This means nothing. These are just, all right. You can buy PFS software, and I know that they were very popular and were around for a very long time, and here's an ad for them.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that what the ad here is pushing, that it's basically like a database, and that it's easier to use than the other things that came up. Although the ad, so I mean that's it, and it's in color, so fancy.
Okay, so if you needed help remembering games to pick for their top 10, like Carrington just did, you could turn back to this page, and they have the top 30, which is a list of the top 30, best-selling Apple II programs. I don't know what the metric was there that they used to find that information, and this is before they had to split everything into different lists like business software, and games and stuff. It's just top 30. And interestingly, the top one is still at this time VisiCalc for $98, and then
$98.07.
That's right. Apparently, and I did not know this, DOS 3.3 originally cost $74.85.
Some of these prices are crazy.
Yeah. Star Cruiser from Sirius was 70. Wow, that's all right.
I don't even understand these prices. Like Calibeth, $22.12. Are these actual prices? Why is it $22.12?
Maybe we're misreading this.
Because I think it's pricing too. It makes sense that VisiCalc would be expensive, but why is CyberStrike $49.04? There's no way it's $49.04. I mean, maybe Americans are weird. So
well, that's true. Yeah.
Maybe these are all converted to Canadian.
But yeah, a lot of the titles that we've talked about advertised, shockingly, in this magazine. CyberStrike, Super Invaders, Dogfight, the DOS Toolkit, the High-Res Football Program, Bill Budge's stuff, Apple Writer. I think we've mentioned all of these almost. Mm-hmm.
But there's others here, like Adventure is still on here, and Hellfire Warrior, and Temple of Apshai, like the first one of those. That's true. So Automated Systems and Rescue at Rigel. So they've got they're batting heavy in this list too.
Yep, that's true. Let's see. And then we have an ad from I see Games. I don't see a company name. How to turn an apple into a tank. Well, it's SSI, right?
Yeah, that's weird. Who is it? SSI? It's got to be SSI. Why is it nobody?
Computer Bismarck, Computer Ambush.
Yeah, so this is SSI, but it doesn't actually say, oh yeah, no, mail your check to Strategic Simulations Inc. I was like, they weirdly hid their logo on here. Most companies would have been shouting themselves, or, if the name of the programmer, but one of the two.
Yeah, it is very strange that like the only place the company's name is mentioned is at the bottom saying where you can send the check. It's Strategic Simulations Incorporated. But there's no company logo. There's no other mention of them, which is, I guess, maybe to their credit, because you want to talk as much as possible about the games since you're not going to include any screenshots, which they did not. But at least here, like, okay, the ad for Computer Conflict is about tanks. So there's a tank at the top instead of, I don't know, a spaceship over.
I think it's an effective ad because, well, it's got a lot of text. They really are kind of advertising 6 or 7 different essentially the same games. It's SSI, so all the games are the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's neat. I think it's visually effective because it's got like the apple at the top kind of morphs into a tank, and then one in the middle morphs into a Spitfire. And so I think if you're into this kind of game, this is going to get you excited. Say, I want to play as the Russian aggressor and play an infantry tank, whatever. Like if you like SSI type games, then SSI is going to hook you up.
Well, and if you like SSI type games, you're a person who likes to read excessively long and wordy manuals, so you're going to like an ad like this.
This ad should have been, the whole page should have been perforated into a whole bunch of little tiny things that you can peel off. Just to get you into the mood for the game.
And you immediately lose 5 of them.
Exactly.
Then this is funny. This is back when they had to address credit card holders separately. You'd mentioned the like weird wording on checks and stuff and COD. Credit card holders, if you want an Apple II 48K and a mini floppy disk drive, we have a special number for you. It's an 800 number where you can charge your order to your Visa or MasterCharge, and then a different number in California. So I think these are some early computer attempts for SSI, and I don't know that any of these did very well, other than maybe Bismarck. That's one that I've heard of, but
yeah, I think I see Computer Ambush, which is also listed here. That's one that I saw ads for. It seems to pop up like for sale on things like eBay and stuff as well. So I think that sold fairly well because lots of copies of that seem to be floating around still.
Okay.
Or maybe it didn't sell very well. That's why there's all these copies still floating around. I don't know. One of the two, but they made a bunch.
And okay, we've reached the back cover, which is an ad for Information Unlimited Software Incorporated.
Yeah, this is a bad ad for somebody who paid for back cover. This is crazy that this is a back cover ad because it's essentially black, tons of white space, everything's on a weird angle. This would have been a very expensive ad for US, a company I've never heard of. And I think I never heard of them because they wasted a lot of money on an ad like this. So you got to tilt your head sideways. And so they're pushing Easy Writer and Easy Mailer. And so it's a whole bunch of business software things. But wow, it's just like it's like basically a logo and a small description of each piece of software. And that's it. Like there's no, hey, send us money. There's no call to action here. I don't know about this. This was not a well done. You should have had somebody proof this ad, dudes.
I don't think anyone really thought this through. And I wonder, so like Okay, there's, like you said, there's tons of white space around each one of these little teeny tiny write-ups for each of these products that are widely spaced across this page. And sort of overlaid on this is this like graph of, a blue grid, of blue lines. And I wonder if that was done because without that grid there, there's just like so much white space that you just look at this and go like, what's going on here? So we have to put something else there.
They even did it as an overprint. The blue goes over top of the text. It's even poorly done. Like they should have overprinted the black to knock out the blue. Weirdly too, if you look in the bottom corner, so there's this various software here. There's EasyWriter, there's DataDex, which is a data management thing. There's Telstar, which tells you where the stars are. Like, so that sounds like a communication program, but it's really an astronomy program. But in the bottom, it's like EasyWriter's copyright Kappan software. DataDex is copyright Sonoma software. Telstar. So it's actually this company selling software by a bunch of other companies.
Oh, that's interesting.
But again, no call to action, no send us money, this is the back cover? Crazy waste of money.
And I'm seeing that, Quinn was on that kick where she would Google map some of these addresses. And it's listed as a place on Arlington Avenue in Berkeley, California. I bet that's a house. I'm going to check that right now. And just, because dead air is always great for podcasts and stuff where you're listening.
I'll fill the time by singing.
Yeah. Yay. Could you sing "Oh Canada" for us, Carrington?
I cannot by law.
I see. Only to other Canadians.
Won't let me.
Only to other Canadians.
If I sing it, you become a Canadian. And we're very picky about that.
Well, you should be because we want to leave. Yep, that's a house. So this is somebody in probably his basement selling software that, I don't know, maybe got bulk deals on or something like that. And maybe he's licensed to do that. I don't know. But yeah, that's a really odd ad that some probably guy... single person paid a whole lot of money for, because I know that even back then those ads were pretty expensive. And that, I guess, brings us to the end of Softalk and another Open Apple.
Well, that was fun.
Thank you for joining us, Carrington, and being
very happy to.
Fake Quinn for a month.
I'm happy to be a fake Quinn. Not as good as the real Quinn, but, except no substitutes. And yet I was a substitute, and so you have to accept.
Hey, Carrington has opinions, folks.
I do. Welcome to the Carrington Has Opinions podcast.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Carrington. Thank you out there to all you listeners, for all 6 of you for hanging out, or well, the 2 that are left after Carrington. And thank you to Mark Lemmert again for coming back on for 6502 Workshop and talking about his Kickstarter. We will see you all next month.
Using an Apple II is very easy. The only hard part is getting your kid away from it. You see, Apples are the leading computers in schools, so even though you bought it to help you work at home, your kid will want to use it for his own homework. Of course, if all else fails, there's one last thing you can try. Get him an Apple of his own.
This has been the Open Apple Podcast. Subscribe to us in iTunes or visit us at open-apple.net, where you can browse our extensive catalogue of past episodes or read our blog. If you like what you've heard today, or even if you didn't, your comments, questions or ideas are always welcome. Send them to feedback at open-apple.net.
Retro compute. Wait, when do we do that?